papacy into the principles of ancient Asia and Africa, that's basically where we're messed up as far as our mental problems and our divisions. But we know that no one gets here except through the Stargate. So we want to thank you all for bringing us here. Thank you, mothers. Thank
you. Peace, everybody pulled up. We need y'all to share this one out. We wanted to do a little pregame before we turn up. You did? Want to do a little pregame before we turn up? If y'all was here the other day, we had a build, and we had Taj actually came on and chopped it up, and so the ladies made it possible for him to come back, and he agreed to come and have a build with us today. And we're gonna see how it goes. You feel me? We have some questions. Do you know this Moorish conversation? I'm gonna be honest. It's not. People making it as if it's the Indians and the Moors, but really it's a situation of the Aboriginals and the Moors. It's going to be something that they're going to have to come to grips or sit down at the fire pit with, you dig? Because our family didn't tell us that we were Moors. Our family told us that we were Indians. So a lot of times, a lot of Moors like to make bad of the identity or identifying as an Indian. My game is this: why would you be mad if I said I'm an Indian? The Native American get mad, the Pan African get mad, everybody get mad if you say you're Indian. I want you to notice something. Through all of this, everyone is trying to give you an identity. When you're telling them, listen, man, my family has given me my birthright, but they have all of this, and you got baptized, or that didn't happen until the 1600s, and these brothers and sisters themselves, when we we come out our shirt and say, all right, so what's up on this genealogy? They have no clue. I want to know Moorish culture. I want to know more about Moorish culture. It's too easy. See, when we ask about Pan-African culture, the Pan-African turn around and tell us their culture is the same culture as ours. When we ask the Hebrew Israelites who say they came through the transatlantic slave trade, what is their culture? Well, they're going to tell you their culture is the same as ours. And we're saying, wait a minute, man, we're from America. We're Indians. Nigga, when you look into this, we are, this culture that you guys are claiming is attached to American Indians, and the number one identifier to that is the origin of it. And so today, I like Taj. I respect him. He's a master teacher, and I'm a young master teacher. I can say that. I'm a young master teacher because I can listen to a lot of these people, man, and it don't matter how long they've been doing it. I'm not talking about Brother Taj, because we ain't had our conversation yet. We about to go there, and he's a very respectable brother. Listen, I've been watching Taj for a long time. I've been knowing who Taj is for a long time. But I want to one of the points, the understanding that I want to get with him tonight is basically where we stand. Those of us who push our line on this American Indian. I want to let him know where we stand. I also have questions for him concerning this topic and of the Moors. One of the things we've been having problem with is sources, family. We've been having a problem with people being able to source this up. And I feel like, You know, when people had a conversation about, I remember when the interest like 2 years ago, and you know, people wanted the interest of the American Indians, and when they were going back looking for credible people to talk about the history, they went back to people who had origins in Moors. And I tell you something, that American Indian conversation did continue too long. No, it didn't, because the people that were talking weren't the right people talking. There was no understanding. And for me to stand there and watch that, it's like um, being on the other side. Y'all remember when they lost this, when the Bills, Buffalo Bills lost Super Bowl, and homie just stood there and just watched as the confetti fell. I felt like that, you know. I get this chance, Diggs. I get this chance. He just watched. You know what I'm saying? Um, I don't think, and I will say this: this superiority that the Moors, or authority that the Moors say they have over the Aboriginals. Instead of the Aboriginals complaining or feeling some type of way about us not accepting it, um, I say this: I understand. Before I got here, I'm gonna be honest. Before I got here, they sort of Indians and Aboriginals were sort of the same. They were all built out of the same community. So yeah, people that's been around for a while, they will come out and say, "Well, we're the same," but not understand. Hold up. I want to do the little 4 TVs, put them all together for my little man cave. But I had to do this here. Hey, y'all tell me how my sound now. I want to get this together. Tell me what my sound. I need my mic tonight. Sometimes I don't be tripping, but I need my mic tonight. They said loud and clear. We good now. Okay, bet that up. All right. So if a lot of y'all don't know Taj has been around for a long time. Taj is a throwback. I wish I can just interview him. You know what I'm saying? I wish the girls would just let me interview him. Just no knock to nobody. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I think I'm the best interviewer in the game. I don't think nobody. You got, and I don't know. I go look at Rod Hayes. Rod Hayes has did a lot of features, but his best interview was with legendary Topcatz. Go look at Caremio's. I mean, they ain't man. Listen, bro. I need. Man, y'all want to do some interviews? I'm finna start interviewing. Wish I can just interview him. You know what I'm saying? And take him through the. Shout out to Sister Freedom, Jane Elliott, Judge Joe Brown went over there and chopped it up with a few people over there. You know, I wish I could have fed in there when y'all had Walter Williams. It was an early show. Yeah, I like Walter Williams. I wanted to give him some game because how I developed my my fighting style, it was something that he coached that I took, you know what I'm saying, and not implemented in my approach. And I wanted to let him know. He probably he don't know. So I wanted to let him know. And you never know who listening, you know. I'm gonna let y'all hear a little bit of Taj, like by 10 minutes or something like that. Yeah. About 10 minutes. We ought to be good.
And know that nothing is done without the counsel of the woman. So when y'all start getting back in government, you better get right. So you're going to have to learn a little bit about estate because you lost your estate. So you're going to have to learn law, international law, to begin to protect yourselves and your families. Put away water and food so you can survive at least 6 months. We won't even get into that right now, but don't think it's fake because these Romans are going to try to starve you out. So let's not even play games with this thing. I want to make a point to you so that you know.
Hey, y'all, share the video out. Share the video out.
One of the Masonic secrets that Obama exposed when he went to Hikupta. Hikupta is the proper name of Egypt. That's not Egypt. That's a sociological name. We use it just like anything else. We come to people where they.
For those just pulled up, make sure you jump on the like button. Like 10 more minutes, 10, 15 minutes. We pre-gaming right now. And Brother Taj, you know what I'm saying, we'll be set up and ready to go. And so turn up.
They are. But the adepts are to take them where they should be. Are we clear? All right. Give you an example. The land you're standing on is Morocco. This is the flag that's been on this land over 70,000 years. From ancient Amexem, Central.
Hey, y'all, if y'all have
Africa
questions, put them in the cash.
Is old Amexem. That's the Yucatan area and is referred to by the sociologists as Old Mech. That's Old Amexem. The ancient scientific complex is there, actually in Mexico. The technology took place in Mexico, and the genetic research was done, or what you call the eugenics, took place more in Patagonia. Patagonia today is called Argentina. This is where the hybrid was made that is referred to in the book of Genesis, chapter 25, with when Isaac asked Allah that his wife was barren and that we hook her up, and she bared 2 sons, 2 children, but they're not twins, they're 2 different nations. That is a little bit of information on the hybrid experience, that experiments and the technology that was formulated at Pedro Negra, that's in Mexico, and the technology was carried out in Patagonia, which is Argentina, and that's where your red man was made, who is known today as the Roman.
Damn, I thought I was the red man. I took pride. What Jamie at? Jamie, you out there? Jamie, I took pride in us being red people. Oh, yeah, I just love the way the sun compliment my skin. And and so I ain't, listen, I say this. If y'all have questions, put them in the cash app. I mean in the super chat. If there's anything that you need to know right now, speaking on the heritage of the Moors, if people don't know how this initiated, hold on, I want to go back to the original conversation, and when he came on, and it looked like by 10 minutes we'll be starting.
They didn't have a Lord's Navy base when we were starting out. They didn't have a Navy or nothing.
So we want to get the people in the building for when OG pull up.
Kids and descendants and real nations.
So-called Columbus story, when that's contemporary continuations of an ancient war, which most of the people don't know. Plus, Columbus is more a military operation than the man, to get the point.
Things like this here, hopefully we could expound and and he can edify, because he was in between work, I think, last time when we talked to him. So hopefully he can edify on that. Columbus being the military, and then we can share our information on our take on Columbus.
And what you discover is because our people have been groomed for so many generations, to hate themselves or be against themselves, they don't want to admit their bloodline. This is why they only talk about colors when colors don't apply to humans at all. But they'll spend more time defending the color code system, which is generally known as Christian Black codes, as an identity.
Now, that dope good. One of the things that the Moors, some Moors say, is that Moor is a descriptive term. Well, by Taj's logic, he takes that away. Listen to him.
Plus, Columbus is more a military operation than the man, to get the point. And what you discover is because our people have been groomed for so many generations, to hate themselves or be against themselves, they don't want to admit their bloodline. This is why they only talk about colors when colors don't apply to humans at all. But they'll spend more time defending the color code system, which is generally known as Christian Black codes, as an identity. As is very important.
Okay, like he said, that is very important. So, I mean, if we're using more as a descriptive term, then we're using this color code system that Taj is speaking against. Shout out to OG Richard Neal Bey. Richard Neal Bey, and I know I don't have to think. I know Rich a good brother. I know he a good brother. He got a good heart. I wouldn't fuck with him if I didn't, because I usually be tripping on Moore. You know what I'm saying? Me and Moore, we usually have to, you know what I'm saying? But I never came with that brother that no way. I respect his journey. You gotta understand he's from Chicago. Not only that, he did time in the feds where the Moors. See, we hear about these Moors on the internet, but it's a, you know, in prison they have what you call the DC Moors, and they have Moors there. One of my big homies, Rap a Lot Records. His name's Spook. He went and did a long stretch in the feds. When he came back, he was running with the Moors. He had got put down with the Moors. And so it's not that I know, big homie, you want to see everything come together, but in the ideal world, I would like that too. I'm one of the people you can scroll through my channel for years. I fought for everybody to come together, and niggas ain't do nothing but spit in my face. You feel me? So I've been fighting to bring everybody together. Not only that, I fought for everybody. It's not one person with a microphone or voice in the Indian or Aboriginal community that I ain't took phase for. They didn't even have to come out, jump in, or nothing. They stayed in the house and looked out the blinds and nigga, I ain't asked for nothing. You feel me? I'm a defend turf though, but I think I say this, big homie. You know how to politic. A lot of times things don't be as big as people make them, right? And a lot of times it take the right people to have a conversation and come to an understanding, whether we gonna agree or disagree, but it's gonna be an understanding between men. You feel me? And so that's what I look to get out of this conversation, big homie. I wouldn't talk to just know anybody, you know, but that's Taj Tarik. That's a legend. That's an OG. And so you know, I want to give him an opportunity. You know what I mean? And hopefully the ladies will let me. They don't have me on the leash too much tonight, and they let me ask questions. I actually took the time out to make some questions. Altogether, I have 20 questions. Yeah. Yeah, I have 20 questions that I took, but I also want y'all to be involved. So you guys, he said 21 questions would have been goated. Well, y'all always can I'll let y'all ask the rest. You know, I just have some just to make sure the conversation go. You feel me? And I really want to know what y'all really want to know, because I have no confusion. I'm gonna be honest. You know, I'm setting my understanding. Not saying I'm not open to learn new things, because I am. Can y'all please get my likes up, y'all? Jump on my like button. You feel me? Can y'all please get my likes up? Jump on my like button. I'm not opposed to learning new things. I always tell people, man, I'm not my bad, y'all reading the text. Yeah, I always tell people, man, I don't know everything. But I know that my ancestors are guiding me, and I have insight that others don't have. I understand I have like a special gift that others don't have. That ain't to brag or nothing, but I'm listening to a lot of people, bro. And no matter how long they've been around, I just don't understand how they don't get it. You know what I'm saying? And so, like Dr. Deborah Blair used to always say, I'm gonna put my truths with your truths, and hopefully it can bring us closer to the truth. And that's something that I took from the OG. But let's go into how this all started. And the ladies are setting up, and we will be joining them in a little while. We're gonna let them pregame, and then we're gonna come bless the stage.
Rather than admit their pedigree bloodline. The other deal of it is most people don't know Moor is short for Al Moroccan.
I think you just said that, right, Topcatz?
Well, Morocco for in North
But it's not the same people. Am I correct to say that? I'm confused. That's why when it comes down to this Moor thing, I'm confused.
This is why I'm talking to you where I'm talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people are confused because remember our people, when you talk to most of our people, they know very little about pedigree. And so when you ask,
now that's something that I do want to talk to him about. He said they know very little about pedigree. I really want myself personally. I really want to know more about the Moor pedigree and how we're able to identify them today. So I'm glad he touched on that. Shout out to TT. What's up, TT? Come give me a hug. I hope you had a good Valentine. You should have been in here yesterday. They was giving out candy, chocolates, balloons, everything. Shout out to them BCU Jaguar Indians on man time. Take care of business. They take care of them ladies over here, y'all. They'll take you out behind them ladies. But yeah, TT say, is the term Moorish Sephardic Jew a description of a Muslim or a Jew? Well, it get a little tricky. So what happens is the Jews were already in the area of the Iberian Peninsula when the Moors arrived in 711. So the story behind the 711 Moors is this conquest of them coming in, and they're going to defeat the Visigoths and take claim of the areas of the Roman provinces. There, these Moors will create a relationship and a bond with this Jewish community there. Now, those who were of this Sephardic is just gonna mean Spanish Jew, right? These people that's going embarking back and forth from Iberian to North Africa will be called New Christians. And so Sephardics are where that name New Christians or converts but they will be coming out of that location, that area, the same area as the Moors. Matter of fact, when people speak about the golden age of the Moors, that took place with an alliance with the Moors, those who are the Moors, and those who are the Black Hebrew Israelites. And so that's where that marriage and unity will come from.
Really what you're talking is a pedigree issue. And most of our people, unfortunately, speak more from emotion on who they like and who they don't like. They don't really have a knowledge of pedigree.
I have to respectfully disagree.
No, that's not me. That's
I forgot
Sister Bethy. She was just.
I have to respect.
She want to tell you something.
I just have to honorably and respectfully disagree about your thoughts of us having little knowledge. And
all right, child. So look like they ready. I want to leave wide and I'll come back. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna jump out. So they getting ready over there right now. You know what? Let me go ahead on and just go in. Hold on. Can we get some good energy over here before we turn up? Can we get some Jaguar energy in here before we turn up? Now we finna go over here. Now y'all act like y'all got some sense. All right, act like y'all got some sense in these folks' house. Don't embarrass me.
He want the scoop, she want the tea. She want
them Jaguars it.
We keep it in the street. We keep it in the street.
It's time to go hunt. Nigga, get your armor on. Where them Jaguars at? Go get your hunt. All the men, get your armor on. Get your armor on. Get the women and the kids to a safe place. Man, everybody, y'all know y'all orders. Y'all know y'all job. You know what I'm saying? Make sure the next man on side of you make it back. No Jaguar left behind. Y'all drop them Jaguars down there. We finna go talk to the Moors.
I took a loss, but you still gonna get beat. It's still gonna fit. How much it costs? It never been cheap. It never been. Turn your click up, dog. Turn them up, turn your bitch up, dog. Turn them up, turn these streets can't cross it. Cross them up, all these streets need bosses. Cross them up, turn your click up, dog. Turn them up, turn your bitch up, dog. Turn them up, turn these streets can't cross it. Cross them up, all these streets need bosses. When my dog get low in his pockets, I'm picking them up. We came from the bottom together, my nigga. We get it, we splitting it up.
So what is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all-in-one productivity software where you can manage everything and anything related to your
If my bitch tell me pay for that pussy, I'll take her ass shopping and tell her shut up. Standing on business ain't nothing to pipe that shit up. It ain't nothing to turn a bitch up. It ain't nothing to turn your click up. Ain't nothing. Shit, we turn.
Hey, get the lights up. Get the lights up. We about to ride over.
Look at the people we touch. Shit, I'm feeling like Puffy and Russ.
Yeah.
I'm sending this shit like a toilet, little nigga so nasty I never been flushed. Bulletproof rappers that came with a kid on it. The shit that you like, it kick it, you spit on it. Hundreds of bands, I put a little shit on it.
Put my hand, I had to go flip something. What's up, BCU?
He want the scoop, she want the tea. She want the tea. I cannot speak. We keeping it street. We keeping it street. I took a loss, but you still gon' get beat.
Trees.
How much it costs? It never been cheap. Turn your click up, dog. Turn them up, turn your bitch up, dog. Turn them up, turn these streets can't cross it. Cross them up, all these streets need bosses. Cross them up, turn your click up, dog.
Hey, y'all put y'all armor on, man. We finna go over here with the Moors.
All these streets need bosses. Cross them up.
Big dog, status Bill Hubble. I'm ballin' in his mouth for my brothers. Oh, y'all bag,
BCU
told the color. I got it
Mexico
out the field,
2024.
fuck us. Going as L'Oreal about to pat it and going as
BCU 2024 Mexico.
Bitch, just a habit tricking on a bitch. Shit, I'm thinking I'm clipping a pimp. Shit, I'm cooking up like a dump. Shit, like her first gon' sit nigga trim. Shit, I'm floating, I'm hiding the blimp. Shit, it look like I'm swimming in glass. Shit, I turn on my bitch cause she bad. Shit, I'm making her ex nigga mad. Shit, they go for that money to man. Real nigga alert up, wearing a bag. Piping a bitch, it ain't there like I can. Turn up the shooters with switches go bad. Stay with some scammers, but no one's a pay. Trapping no rapping, my dog can fall off. No capping, no bound of a brick. Fuck on your bitch and I told her to call off. Actually, I'm making her quit. Painkillers. Got my little demons on gold, they ready to hit the stick. Painkillers. Got my little bitch on gold, she ready to eat up the dick. Main hitters, call up the gang members. They was already on the lick. Hanging with me goes all these drugs and guns that we just get.
He want the scoop, she want the tea. She want the tea. I cannot speak. We keeping it street.
Y'all ready?
I took a loss, but you still gon'
About
get
to
beat.
ride over there.
How much it costs? It never been cheap.
Turn it up.
Turn your click up, dog.
Turn it up.
Turn your bitch up, dog. Turn
BCU.
up, turn these streets can't cross it.
BCU.
All these streets need bosses.
Let's go.
Turn your click up, dog.
Let's go.
Turn your bitch up, dog.
Let's
Turn
go.
up, turn these streets can't cross it. Cross them up. All these streets need bosses. Cross them up.
Turn that one time, goddamn. Hold on, let me go grab me a body armor. I might need two. Hold on, let me go grab a body armor. I might need 2 body armors. Oh, hold on. I'm not the vest. I'm talking about the drink. Hold on. Let me go grab a body armor drink. Why was this shit, man? That fast, huh?
Ray J, how? She wanna talk to the kid, make one wish. I'ma get fried rice, shrooms and syrup. I'm trying to get high tonight. Serving them pies right. I'ma start dancing as soon as they hitting the light. Jesus, peace, Christ. What your geek like? Geek. Do you like Miley Cyrus? Or you like Virgil White? I'm on the blues, talking all blues. Beat it up black and blue. My dog got dog food. If we can't win, nigga, we gon' all lose. So to bring your best friend. I'ma fuck on y'all too.
He want the scoop, she want the tea. She want the tea. I cannot speak. We keeping it street. We keeping it street. I took a loss, but you still gon' get beat.
All right, turn up. I'm all out of breath and shit. All right, let me get this screen done. Hold on, let me get in first. Let me go knock on the door, see if they're at home. Yeah, they was playing their music, tapping in. All right.
The congressional records And also I started learning jurisprudence because I had jurisprudence books. And me and my brother, we used to go junking. And even though we used to go playing a lot, I also used to buy old books because my father always had books, and I learned a lot of things by virtue of older books. And the older I got, the more I recognized that I was actually conflicting with most people that I was dealing with in whether the church or also for a little point, I was also in Jehovah's Witness. And I had even the old Bible Tract Society documents from the 1800s with Charles Rutherford, and the Bible Tract Society later became what you know as Jehovah's Witness. And so logically, I was in conflict there too.
Keisha
And
Murphy.
came from there.
What's up? That's my
Moore
sister,
Side
y'all.
Temple,
Tell my mama I
actually
said,
around
hey,
in the
tell my
early
mama Pam I
80s,
love
early
her.
80s. And I already had research on those operations, etc., from congressional records, because I used to go to the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., and I do research also in the law libraries. So most of my position from a social political point of view came from absolute documented research. And then, of course, over the years, I also had the opportunity of dealing with people from other nation states who, because I always wrote, I started writing when I was around 11 or 12. I used to write poetry, actually, from when I was around 7 years old. And I used to share some of my poetry and stuff like that. And so by virtue of me communicating with other people, people began to communicate with me, and I've, started talking with people, from China, from Japan, from Ecuador, from Palestine, from Borikin, from the Tainos, etc. And so I have, by virtue of my writings and stuff like that, I've had the opportunity to talk to people from other nation states. And in the process of that, including when I was doing classes at the theater in Harlem, even hybrid Europeans used to come to my class, and they would bring information because I was always blunt. I'd talk to them like I talk to anyone else. And what I discovered, even a lot of hybrid Europeans, when they know that you know real history and international law, they don't talk to you
Right.
like that Black Negro race game. They talk to you intelligently on facts. And what I discovered is that a lot of the hybrids don't hate us. They're just in a political occupational position, and a lot of them will tell you the history when we don't start that old race card stupid stuff, marching and praying like fools on our own land, like we don't know what's up, and always asking them for something rather than commanding their obligations according to law, treaty, etc. And even though some of them get irritated with it, when they know that you're not dumb, they treat you differently.
Well, listen, Taj, I
Yes.
want to go ahead on and allow the legendary Topcatz to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about him. And then we're going to sit back and let you two kings talk. I want you to, and we're not going to open our mouths and say anything. So,
well, I would prefer, see, my position, let me be honest with you.
Yes.
No different than years ago when I gave you that 5th edition law dictionary.
Yes, at least 17 years ago.
This is one thing that I recognize. If our sisters don't get this information, we're kind of lost.
Right. I'm just saying, let him introduce himself. Right.
Oh, yeah. If he's on, to
the family, and tell us
the
a little bit about himself, and then we just go from there.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Peace, Topcatz.
Peace, good brother.
Can you hear us?
Peace. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Turn your volume up a little bit.
Oh. All right. Is that better?
Yes, much better.
Okay. Peace to the queens. Peace to the
Peace,
OG.
brother.
How you doing tonight? I'm the legendary Big Chief Topcat. I'm a Kasadi Indian. My family were the Mingos. We helped pick out the oldest reservation here in Texas, 1855. My family were chiefs up to the 20th century here. We still have our land down in Livingston, Texas, what is called Indian Village in the Bottoms. And I push genealogy. I have a genealogy group called Big Chief University. And one of the things that we do is we take back our history. Instead of just talking about it, we actually show our people how great the Americas were and how great our people were, and how advanced they were. So we do trips. We've done multiple trips. We've been to a lot of places. We had a pyramid tour last year in November. Our second pyramid tour, group tour, is coming up in July. Matter of fact, this weekend, I'm headed to Mexico to do some field research down there, and hopefully we get to some of that conversation too tonight. But appreciate y'all bringing me here, and appreciate it's an honor to be with you.
Well, I'm glad to get a chance to see you and hear you, good brother. And a lot of our people need to understand how the hybrid Europeans have been stealing our people's lands for years and years, because most of all of our people, when we go to our grandmothers and our great grandmothers, and grandfathers, we discover our indigenous status and lost a lot of land and didn't really understand the politics behind it. You know what I mean? So I'm really grateful and honored to hear you're one of the few brothers and sisters that recognize that we are the people of the land, and you're making a claim or a governing or jurisdictional claim on your land, including the fact that you're being productive with it. And that's much appreciated. And because the sisters are here, we want to present to them some of the things that are operative, because at the same time, when they begin to comprehend that we are the people of the land, using whatever methods that we have learned to make a reclamation and hold them to their obligations in relationship to our right of self-determination outside of emotions, etc. I'm glad that we have the sisters on, because as you already know, the actual culture of our people here is a matriarchy. Without that competitive mentality that has been taught to our people, competing the men and women against themselves. So they need to learn something about the culture so that we can actually be productive. And as a point of interest too, Topcatz, in Jersey area, my family owned the land from the area of Pennsauken up into Merchantville, up into Route 30, where they built the complex, where they have what's that Home Depot, and where the racetrack used to be. And over the last 50 years, systematically they stole the land from us, etc. Because as a matter of fact, in around 89, they sent letters out to all my families to give us checks on the land, because they had been confiscating the land under eminent domain, etc. And right off of exit 4 of New Jersey Turnpike, they actually rented the whole hotel, and people came from all around the place, and a lot of people I knew actually that I didn't know were my relatives, from north, from New York, from the Mohawks, and my family is Cherokee, most of them Cherokee. Now we already know it's Anayanwea, and my grandmother, my father's mother, when I was little, she used to sit me on her lap, and we'd be looking out the window on State Street, and she used to tell me a lot of stuff. Of course, I was 4, I didn't know a lot of stuff, but
because that was the question that I was gonna ask, like what was the age that this happened, this occurred?
That I was 4 years old then.
Okay.
You know, and she had this. I remember she had she was really like a beautiful dark chocolate, smooth skin, and she had very dark blue eyes, and her braid went all the way, below her backbone, all the way down. And we call her Mom Eve. And she was from the Cherokees in the Virginia area, and she used to talk to us a lot about when they, stealing land even down there. But I was young then, and I didn't understand a lot of things, but I always knew that we were the people of the land. And of course, they would call us Black Indians and stuff like that. But then, of course, as I did research and particularly going down to the congressional records and then looking into the House journals, then I discovered, when they set up even later, which you already know, with the treaties, etc. So when I was doing research into the treaties in the congressional records, I found out that they had classified the so-called Indian treaties and the Moorish treaties were collected under the same subtitle. And then I did research into Article 3, Section 2, diversity in the enforcements of the treaties, etc.
Is it you speaking about the state of Virginia or
yeah, Virginia area, yeah. And as a matter of fact, the interesting thing too, that I found out, later, that my Aunt Rose, which actually with my Uncle Rube, who owned the land up here in Jersey, up there near the Pennsauken area and the Cherry Hill area, all that area. I mean, acres and acres and acres. We should be wealthy, but as usual, over the years they stole the land. And I still have the check that they gave me in '89. I never cashed it because I didn't go along with it, But most of our people think some of them be Indians and some of them are blacks and some of them people of color. And so I recognize that, you can't argue with people who really don't understand what's going on.
Right.
And
can I ask you a question, OJ? I apologize for breaking your wisdom. When you were coming up, what was your area that you came up in?
In Camden area, Jersey, right across.
The year, meaning the year. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's in 50s, early 50s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it a lot of people at that time who identified with having indigenous heritage?
It's very common. You'd hear it more than you hear it now, actually. It was almost like taken for granted, but you didn't hear any conversations like we're having today politically about reclaiming or anything like that. Only from a perspective of them knowing that they weren't black, although we were called black. I remember if you called, like my grandfather and stuff, you called them black, they'd fight you.
So was Negro? What was the term at that time? Was it be Negro?
That was
colored?
like in 59, 60 in that area.
Yeah, what would the term be then? In the 60s, it would have been Negro, correct? Negro or colored?
Yeah, they changed it because first they'd be colored, then they'd be Negro, then they be black.
Yeah, 1969 they changed it to Afro-American.
Jesse Jackson, 32-degree Mason, suggested that Afro-American game and stuff like that. Then our people started going along with that game.
Right.
And it was pretty much common. But if you start talking anything political, about our right to the land and everything, most of our people weren't interested. They wanted to march and pray type thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
And do the civil rights stuff.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you think it would have been effective if we could have, if that information, if we did use it as a political weapon, if we did carry it on, do you think that we could have been in a better position, or do you think that method would have worked since it did? That was a birthright given to us at home.
This is what I begin to recognize, is that our people didn't understand the issue of heritability and non-heritability and the wardship status that we have been collectively held in that no one discusses, and not knowing that the nom de guerre that our people loosely refer to as brands held us in what is legally referred to as a wardship status to the corporate state. And as a matter of fact, this is how they stole our land. And of course, over the years, as I studied, I began to recognize how it was done. This is
Ken, I apologize again for breaking your wisdom. But I just wanted you to I would love to hear your take on and if you would give me maybe 2 minutes or whatever to give my take on how what I've compiled.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I really, part of what I really wanted to hear you, because I wanted to get a chance to, to hear what you have to say about, even with Calhoun and them, how they tricked our people over the years with the commission under the War Department, with the enforcement of the treaties, and then with the commission of them setting up the commissions for the BIA, and how they've been constantly altering. As an example, let me just give you an example, because I did take a couple of notes and of course stuff that I wrote a long time ago, years ago. But I wanted to just share a few things that I had contention with them, and I always wanted to see most of our people who understood our indigenous status to hold them to the law, because you already know that the status into the law is the venue of diversity that those arguments should be made. And what I recognize that so many people, because when they learned that we were the people of the land, they would start arguing from an emotional point of view rather than argue them from treaty point of view, to which they're obligated, because they're not obligated to opinions, as you already know. And by our people not knowing that they're in a wardship status, our people would get into the morality of our divine right and not really argue with them relative to the diversity, which is actually where their obligation sits, and it doesn't sit anywhere else. And by people usually getting drawn into emotional responses, they would usually get into emotional arguments without being competent, and logically that automatically relegates our people back into the wardship status state. But anyway, I want to mention this just because the sisters, because I want them to have some understanding on the level that we're talking. I don't want them to just be listening. I want them to have some background so that they too can help get this work done. But as you already know, the Continental, I'll just read some of the notes. Continental Congress governed Indian affairs during the first years of the United States. Now, you already know that was around 1775. And of course, that's when the corporation, they had been, because since, as you already know, later in 1871, this is when they've been promoting their private corporation. That's their incorporation papers. Their last incorporation was in 1925, which you already know. But you already know when they established taking over the trade routes and start taking over the East Coast and stuff like that. And they set up the committee of, at that time, Indian Affairs. And you know that was done under Benjamin Franklin, who was Minister Plenipotentiary with the Treaty of Peace and Friendship with the international trade that they had taken over of the Moors. And after they had defeated the Moors, logically, they took over, they came into the West in mass, although that's not their first entry. And of course,
I apologize, OG, but just for clarity,
they never honored any of the treaties.
I apologize, OG, just for clarity. When you say that they took over the Moors, who are you referring to is taking over the Moors?
We're talking about the international trade routes, mostly to the south, like to the islands, with the Caribs.
Okay, and you say that that the Moors,
the Caribs and the Tainos,
right? Also the Yucatan, Galveston, New Orleans, which Houston and New Orleans have two of the largest
even them,
trade ports today. So and that area
because
ran
that's
all the
what
way to Cuba.
yeah.
So even through the Barbary Wars, the War 1812,
Yeah,
the Seminole Wars 1816 to 48. I mean the 58.
And that's when many of the tribes, even the Anasazi, and many of the tribes of the north, even up in Canada, came down actually in that area to fight them, particularly when they was running off the Carolinas and Virginia area, and so they made that up, the Seminole Wars term. They made that up because actually that was a conglomeration of many tribes from all over the land that came down there to fight them.
Right, correct. I agree. Yeah, that started after the 1763 Proclamation Act. The war, a war broke out. The Chief Pontiac led. You had Tecumseh and his brothers come down. Known in history as the Pan-Indian Alliance. A lot of them came down with a lot of British traders who were in Tennessee, but the people in Tennessee there was a Melungeon mixture there, and they were Iberian Moors and Sephardic Jews. These people will end up taking over the tribe. So one important person that I bring up is Gist. Gist, his grandson will go on to be called Sequoyah, the guy who get credit for writing the Cherokee Syllabary, which was actually a more ancient Phoenician language, but they gave it to him. It was Masonic play though. But this family were Iberian Moors. So I want to ask you, are the Moors from America, or did they come over to America and amalgamate with the American Indians?
No, that's more or less contemporary reconstructed history. Moors is actually a short for Al-Moroccan, or meaning what we call American. Al-Moroccan means descendants of Moroccans or the Maghreb, and these are the Mandinka and Bantu tribes that crossed over before when the cocoa plate shift took place, which they will write in history in geography as the continental drift. And this when before the Atlantis was an ocean. This is when it was a river. And those, when they talk about the Great Superdivere, they'll talk about in the reconstructed Bible, which is really the Heliotext coming from the Septuaginta. They'll talk about the dividing of the land between Ham and Cush. And those of us who crossed over the river, they refer to as the Ibri. That's E-B-R-E-H-I, Ibri. And when those who do the research of the indigenous people here, or the first people here, they refer to them as Hebrew, which is incorrect because they think that's a identity of the people. No, that's an action. That's those of us who come across the river, and that would include many of the Bantu and Mandinka tribes, or what they would call Phoenici or Phoenicians, etc., that made up the different tribes. That would be Canaanites, Moabites, and Hittites mainly. And so you have them also when they took over Nefertiti's daughter's lands. That's Iberia. And this is, of course, after that, they start calling Iberia Europe. And this is what the takeover there. And when Boabdil ceded the Alhambra, particularly at that point, even though the trades were going on even before then, and that's when they came in mass militarily with a lot of traders.
Okay, I'm sorry, OG. When you say they came in a lot of okay, let's start over just for clarity. I want to start it over, and maybe if I ask it this way, we have 370 watching right now. They all here to see you. But I want to ask this here. What is the origins of the Moors? Because we have a lot of definitions out here. When you talk about Moors, I think you sit on the throne for Moors. So I love to ask you, what are the origins of the Moors?
Moors is actually a modern short term for Al-Moroccan, or what you would call Moroccan, Mauritania, Morocco, etc., in reference to most of your Asiatic African tribes that came to the Western Hemisphere thousands of years ago under the Super Devere, and established kingdoms and tribal territories in the Western Hemisphere, which is referred to in history as the Maghreb, which is North, Central, South America, Americana, which would be all of your islands, etc.
Okay, hold on, OG,
collectively,
because that's a lot for them to digest. So let's just stop there. I want to ask this question. So they're
go
starting
ahead.
in Africa, and then they're making their way, migrating to the new Maghreb, to the west, to the
Well,
Americas.
when the Europeans write it, they would tell the people that we came over the
I
land.
want it from the OG. I want the real deal. That's why it's a pleasure to have you here. I want it from the legend. Where are they origins?
Well, we're not talking about. I'm not talking about religion. We're talking about the migration of the people.
Correct. Or is it coming from Africa? It's starting from Africa first, and then migrating to the West Maghreb.
Well, because at that time, actually, what is known as Africa today, or Temeri, the horn of Northern Africa was actually attached to the Gulf of Mexico. So you could just go across the water just like you go across the Chesapeake right now. The lands weren't separate the way people think they are.
But
most
today,
people
just for clarity or a visual understanding for the people, today on the map.
People, all right. Let's
OG, no, I want to ask you. I mean, when I say the people, meaning the chat, for understanding for the chat, a visual. In today's modern term, will that landmass, what will the landmass be called today?
The people from the modern times usually will look at ourselves here from what they refer to the 1492 Columbus era, which is totally contemporary, which twists all the history. And if they look at it from that perspective, they don't know themselves.
So that's why I want to start at the origins, OG. That's why I want to ask you, what did the origins started in Africa and migrating out of Africa here to civilizations north, south, east, west?
It's both sides. America. It's actually both sides. We're on both sides of the water, always have been.
Which side first, though, OG?
Really, like mostly in the Yucatan, what you call Olmec, Old Amexum.
So they will start with the Olmec. That would be the first civilization.
Well, that's part of us too. That's part of us too.
No, I don't know not the Olmec history. I'm just
giving you the background of Moorish history. That's what you're asking me.
So after leaving the Yucatan, where did they go?
What do you mean you leaving the Yucatan?
With the Olmec, you say I asked you where did they originate the first place?
So that's one of the centers of governmental operations in the Western Hemisphere was the Central America.
Okay, and I love the Yucatan. I've been there over 10 times. I'm going this weekend, matter of fact. So I love it down there. But so after they they originate in the Yucatan.
A lot of our people here, particularly in the north, don't recognize that that's part of their own history.
Yeah,
because we've been trained to look at the different tribes as other alien people when they're all Al-Moroccans. From the south to the north, they're all Al-Moroccans. The only alien is the hybrid European.
Okay, so let me ask you this here: can you put a date on the history of the Moors? Is there like a time frame around it?
You're talking about 49,000 old. You're talking about AM, ancient Moorish. So when we'll talk to people now when they say AM and PM, they're looking at a time period, but the real AM is actually ancient Moabite. And so you're talking about your bicameral bicameral calendars, which have been adjusted by the hybrid Europeans to throw the people off. This is why when you look at, when you go into congressional records and you look at treaty laws, and you look at the operations of the wars and the migrations, you'll see the differences in the calendar. And this is when why the hybrid Europeans changed the calendar to throw our people off. As an example, when you look at the earlier treaties, you'll find that there's a couple hundred years, actually, they roughly around 500 years change in the calendar. And so when you're talking to the people in general who have not been really educated in timekeeping or in bicameral calendar keeping, etc., their concepts are wrong because they keep measuring it by how Europeans talk about mostly the Columbus and Cortez area, and that's how they, or the conquistadors.
Okay,
That's how
I
they
want to get to that. I want to say that I had a list of questions. I have another one right here. This coming from the people. They asked, did the Moors rule a global empire? And if so, what were the territories?
It was like when you hear the hybrid Europeans talking about the British Empire and they say the sun never rises or sets on the British Empire, meaning that they ruled on both sides of the world. The real deal is that they took over the Moorish Empire, also the last vestige known as the Ottoman Empire, and thus taking over or taking power over the roots of the Asiatic people, which included both what you call Africa today, Iberia, which you call Europe today, Sinda, which you call India today, Lower Russia, and North, Central, South America, and including the joining islands. That's why when you do research into the war records, you'll see the connectivity and the sequence of operations of international law, even the Lieber Code, etc., which is used in the international law during the time when, after they murdered Lincoln, to cover up their obligations to the treaties. This is why you'll see that when they started the Bureau of Indian Affairs, you'll see that took place under Benjamin Franklin, who at that time was a minister plenipotentiary. And this is also why they throw the people off again by lying to the people, telling that George Washington was the first president. So when you're looking at the geography before the colonial operations or the reconstructed history, the concepts will be different. So most of the things that you would be talking about when you're talking about the obligations of treaty and our people's attachment to the land, again, most of the people keep measuring from the Columbus period, which is absolutely contemporary.
Okay,
and
I
so
want to
a
ask
lot
you. I apologize. I want to ask you. I want to get to the treaty question, but I wanted to ask this question first. This global Moorish empire that you were just speaking about, who was the most famous emperor of the Moorish empire? Who was one of the most famous in history that we can look up and find?
Well, when you go back to that, then you're talking essentially Egypt. Just like the background that you see as you see the background.
What about in the Americas? What about the most famous emperor, Moorish emperor in the Americas? North, South, Central, or the island?
You be talking Hammurabi.
Hammurabi. What area was he from?
Hammurabi Bay. That would be in Central America, and then also Aunt Hagar.
What people?
Tuyakas.
Who were they people? The nation. What nation?
Tuyakas and Hammurabi. What you'll hear them talk about today, they'll say Hammurabi, and those are pretty much the economic systems that are used by scholars around the world, even to today.
And Hammurabi was a man from what part of Central America?
That was in the Yucatan.
And what time period? I'm sorry, what time period this was?
You're talking 49,000 area.
Okay. And what other nations was around at that time?
most of the nations that exist today didn't exist then.
So you mean like the Mayan, the Toltec, the Mashiach?
They came after. Mayan, Aztec, they came after. But they're directly tied to Olmec too, just like we are.
Okay, yeah, I see.
We just migrated.
So the Moors were the Olmec, and so the Mayans.
That too, yes.
So the Mayans were not Olmec. So since they came first, then the people, the Toltec, the Mayans, the Mashiach,
all of them still part of them. A lot of them are still part of the Moorish tribes.
Okay, now that's okay. That leads me to my next question. Okay, so how does that tie them to being Moors if they came afterwards and they were already
Moors is just short for Moabite. That's all. It's Moabite's ancient. Moor is just modern.
So Moabite would come from the bloodline of Lot, correct?
Yes, all of it. Yes.
So it would be. So Moors would be a bloodline.
Yes.
So
it's not people when you mention Moors, the first thing they think about is the wars and religion and stuff like that.
Maybe
which is
the Peace and Friendship Treaty, right?
That has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
They never talk about it in the sense of people, individuals.
They don't talk about it in the sense of bloodline and birthright.
And that's one of the greatest
problems.
That's one of my that's one of the things. So Moors do have a bloodline. Do those bloodlines?
Let me for some of the people that are listening, let me just go to a child's dictionary, and those of you because of the work that you're doing, I know I'm assuming that most of the people that would be on this chat are at least minimally based in fundamental grade school etymology. So let's just deal with grade school etymology. We're not even going to deal with scholar. We're just going to deal with grade school etymology. Let me come at you with this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Hey, y'all get the likes up. White. My bad. Turn up.
See that? American Heritage Dictionary. Okay. All right. So you already know one of the nom de guerre that has been put on the indigenous people here is colored people and black people. You already know that, right?
Yes, sir. Now we're saying that there are a lot of Moors around today who say they use the word Moor as a way to they don't use it as a
all right. Now let me intelligently reply to what you just said.
Yeah, because they say they use it as a just a term of like black, another term of black, Negro.
No, well, I'm hearing what you're saying, but I'm also
so you are familiar with the Moors that they do use it and say I use it as a descriptionary term.
I'm absolutely aware of all of that.
Okay, thank you, OJ. Clear it up for us.
Yeah. All right. And so I'm coming from fundamental basic etymology. And for those who are in the chat, etymology is a basic grammatical reading skills for children, which most of our people don't possess because they've been miseducated. So we're not dealing with how people feel. We're not dealing with how people call bloodline or pedigree term, because it's not a term. It's a bloodline pedigree. No different than, like, say, with most of our people who don't understand pedigree and bloodline. As an example, if you said Manchurian or Chinese, they would tell you, no, there's no such thing. They're light-skinned yellow people. And they would argue with you all day long that light-skinned yellow people is an identity. And so to try to reason with people who don't know how to read and will put their egos in front of reasoning, you could be talking with them for hours and they still wouldn't get it. So let's go to an ordinary dictionary, go to one of the nom de guerre that is applied to our people that many of them, out of lack of information and lack of knowledge, have loosely accepted. to show them fundamentals. Here, if you get a screenshot, we're going to deal with the basic grade school grammatication of the word black that our people have been trained for generations is their identity. Black. And now you know the first thing that you go into when you deal with dealing with human interchange, i.e., which is identity, you would classify a pedigree or nativity, that from which you get the term native. Native comes from nativity, which means to be born, to be brought into life, etc. And from nativity, you get the word nationality and native. So the honor of heritability comes from nativity. Now, that would come under grammatication classification of noun or proper noun based on child's reading skills. So we're going to go simply from children's reading skills. Okay. So black, as you already know, right after black, and many of you can go to your dictionaries to follow along, black is an adjective, which means it's a description. If applied to humans, it would be referred to as a term and not an identity. Now, someone who could read would immediately know that it's a term based on its grammatical classification. Someone who doesn't know would accept that as an identification because they've been called that, not knowing that in law that makes such a person automatically a ward of the state because they would be declared incompetent or having the mentality of a minor, which would be classified as a minority. Such a person would not have any what you call heritability rights and would be generally referred to as a ward of the state. And as you already know yourself, this is one of the ways that the corporate states have been robbing our people.
Correct.
But let's go into the term black. So it's an adjective, and it's etymology for those of you, so you can do your further research. Write this down. It will be Bhel, B-H-E-L. And so you do your research on that, and you find it actually means pale colors, white spot. It has nothing to do with the pedigree of any people, although it's used pejoratively to tag people who have been conquered in the Western Hemisphere by the intruding or alien hybrid Europeans under the East India Company, style today as United States Corporation Company, that our people have been trained as a country when it's actually a private corporation registered in Austria. And many of them even, they tricked a lot of people with under Calhoun and the War Department, setting up the Bureau of Indian Affairs to get our people to agree to be that so they could claim jurisdiction on us. And as you already know, about 5 or 6 times they transferred jurisdiction without any so-called representatives from any of our tribes to even represent. They just make up stuff and throw it at us, and our people buy into it.
Correct. So,
anyway,
so with that, hold on 1 second, OG. With that being said, so for people that are using more as a descriptive term, you say
it's not a descriptive term. That's what I'm explaining. I'm explaining to you.
But no, I just want to make it clear and get
they're improper. They're improper. It's improper use.
And for the record,
as a descriptive term, it's improper use.
And for the record, why would it be improper use?
Because it's not a term; it's a pedigree.
Okay, now dealing with the pedigree, with that pedigree, how will we be able to identify the Moors bloodline? How can you identify yourself if the people in the chat today, if they are Moorish through bloodline, through their pedigree, how do they identify that?
All right, let me first, like I said, let me go from a dictionary to give you some basics.
Yes, sir.
So I'm giving you reference that everybody in the world knows. But you already know when we're having these kind of discussions, most of our people have been raised, as you already know, including me, all of us have been raised under animal husbandry. So the first thing that we're trained to do under animal husbandry is misclassify identities. As a matter of fact, identity as a principle of socialization is totally removed from our people. So as soon as you go into identity, they start using nom de guerre as identity and arguing the issue, which is part of what we're discussing right now, which is why I'm going to a child's dictionary to show you its misuse. Then I'm going to go to a Webster dictionary of 1828 to show you again. And this is basic knowledge of people around the world. And the interesting thing is that our people here is the ones that don't know. But anyway, so let's go into black, and now you go into compound usage and morphology of the word. As you can see there, black or more. And this is why a lot of people keep saying that black means more. It doesn't.
Okay, thank you for
This is a
clearing that
compound.
up.
This is a compound word.
Thank you for
This is a
clearing that up.
compound word applied in sociology.
Okay.
Black plus more. Now they have a noun, as opposed to black, which is an adjective, and they have a noun, and it's offensive. And it's a dark-skinned person, especially a person, Northern Africa, blacks, all even case letters, which you already know means a nom de guerre or corporate entity, plus a of unknown origin, then they have more capitalized.
Okay.
Also Negro, etc. So the Moors, which is capitalized, that's the proper noun, have attached to it the adjective black, which is offensive. And of course, they used that in the early 1800s. Then later on, they took off Moor and they just used black. Now, so someone who can't read will see the all cap letters of black or all even case, and because they're not taught grammar, they think that is an identity because they attach that to Moor. But the real deal of it is the people called Negroes, blacks, Indians, etc., are actually Moors. But Moor is only a modern short for Moroccan or Mauritanian or Moroccan, etc. And that's the Aboriginal tribes collectively, not individually, but collectively, loosely referred to. Now, as an example, years ago, when they were having the Million Woman March, and I was meeting with some of the officials in the Camden area because they were bringing some of the buses in, and one of the things I was trying to do with Pat and them, who were also dealing with those operations, I was trying to get them not to have to pay the taxes or the parking for the buses.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was using treaty law to remove that. And we had a meeting at the Circle Diner just at the base of Collingswood. And they gave us walkie-talkies and stuff like that. They had a meeting with the mayor, deputy mayor, the security for the police, the medical department and stuff like that. You know, just general logistics, etc.
Right.
So they parked the buses and stuff, and they didn't have to pay. But I used treaty, you know, to enforce that, etc.
Can you share what treaty exactly it was?
That was Treaty of Peace and Friendship. But it's not so much just that treaty, or also Treaty of Fort Hood, or any of the treaties, etc. Anybody who's indigenous can actually use any of the treaties because that's what you.
Will we have to be bloodline related to that nation in order for that treaty to be recognized?
No. As you already know, the deal of it is the issue of diversity, Article 3, Section 2. That would be enforcement of treaties. And here, this is what it would be. Here we go. And this is for those who are listening. So I'm going to give you an example. So I'm going to go into I'll go into their obligations.
Okay, so for
There's
clarity,
their obligation.
okay,
There's
so
their
I apologize. Go ahead.
There's their obligations, which you already know. Now that obligation is AA 222141, which you already know is treaty enforcement. That would be Article 3, Section 2, diversity, Constitution for the United States in relationship to all treaty enforcement. Now that would be Title 20, for those of you who take notes so you can do research. Title 22, Foreign Relations and Intercourse, that would be page 954. That would be Chapter 2, Consular Courts. And as you already know, Topcatz, the consular venue is what all the chieftains would take in relationship to dealing with issues, even like your land, etc. If there was a controversy, if the corporate state operatives would be trying to make a claim on your land, you already know that your venue of counter argument will be in a consular venue. And that will be Section 141. And that would be judicial authority generally to carry into full effect the provisions of the treaties of the United States with certain foreign countries. For the ministers and consuls of the United States in China, Siam, Turkey, Morocco, Muscat, Abyssinia, Persia, and the territories formerly a part of the former Ottoman Empire, including Egypt, duly appointed to reside therein, shall, in addition to other powers and duties imposed upon them, respectively, by the provisions of such treaties, respectively, be invested with the judicial authority described in this chapter, which shall appertain to the office of minister and consul, and be a part of the duties belonging thereto, wherein, and so far as the same is allowed by treaty, and in accordance with the usages of the countries in their intercourse with the Franks emphasized, or other foreign Christian nations. And then you have the subcategory of laws and cases references, which if y'all can see it, you can screenshot right there and do research yourself. That's their obligation.
So just for clarity, you don't have to be.
That's your obligation to the treaties.
Yes, sir. But for clarity, you don't have to be a part of the tribe necessarily, and you still can get it honored.
Well, that's where arguments will be made. And as you already know, one of the tricks that they have done with us, the indigenous people here, is trick them into playing the civil rights game in order to take them outside the law, thinking that they were going to gain their rights through the civil rights 14th Amendment, when actually it's treaty obligation and constitution, not outside of that.
Right, correct. 1866.
And you already know one of the things with most of our people, they start arguing them venues and thinking that you're doing something contrary by enforcing the law, because that's what their obligation is. Their obligation is not to 14th Amendment corporate person, or what you call the sister QV trust operations of their stock market.
Yeah, they use the 14th Amendment to actually take away the sovereignty. So if you
exactly,
it takes away the indigenous government in that area.
Exactly. That's why they
get jurisdiction in that way. So
that's why they presented it, and they did the same thing with the War Department, with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, to trick the people. And then after the people agreed to that, they started taking all of our property and land, and then having settlers settle on a lot of our land on the other side of Mississippi, which you already know the tracks.
With the Dawes Rose, then from that the Curtis Act came and really a lot. Then you had the Reorganization Act in the 1920s.
Oh yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so hold on, one more thing before we get too far away from it.
Yeah, go ahead.
With the bloodline, with Moore being a pedigree. So when we go back to Moore,
that's the bloodline. That's the bloodline operations of their even being able to trade on the land.
Okay, then let me ask you this here: are you familiar? I'm pretty sure you're familiar with genealogy, the study of the tracing your ancestors through
Yes,
documentation.
yes.
So is
And
there
this
a
is
way that
again why.
Moors can look into their genealogy and find this Moorish bloodline? What are some ways that they can?
Yeah, they just simply loosely refer to us as they refer to us generally as Hikupta, or what you call Egypt, the original people.
Okay, so in order to be a Moor, people would have to
No, it's
find
not. No,
Hikupta.
I'm
Okay, I
hearing what
apologize.
you're saying. I'm hearing what you're saying, but it's like not in order to be. We're just simply talking the bloodline of the people themselves. It's
Right,
it's
correct.
almost like saying you can't become what you already are.
Right, correct. But I'm saying like you'll fall under status here. Or see, so like I can put on the screen right now records showing in the 1800s that my people were classified as Indian citizens. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
saying,
know. I know they
so
did
I'm able
they
to
did
trace
that
that
with
through genealogy
the
in my family lineage. So I'm
yeah,
asking,
yeah.
what is the way for more
I'm
to be able
aware.
to
I'm
identify?
aware of that.
Yes, sir.
I'm
No,
aware of that.
okay, no problem. My question would be, what is a way for more to look in his genealogy? Or would it say more next to it? And if they can't find more, what should they be looking for so they can know that if they're looking at people up on the
Well,
census
one of
or
the
anything?
things that they did was made the political classification of Indian, and what they would do, or they would call that, they classify that as federal recognition. And of course, you already know every couple of years they would change it in order to not hold obligation, because they've never honored, even though they've some of our people can use that for what you call limited recognition, which most of our people here on this side have done. You know, that's not new. That's not new news. But as you already know, that they have never really honored it, and it's again one of the things that
Right,
some of the
they
Manchurian
didn't honor the
families,
treaties at all. Right.
yeah, they've never honored any of them. And one of the things that the Manchurians had done in around 54, and as you already know, when Dwight Eisenhower shut down the consular venue so that our people would not have a proper venue for arguing restoration of the land, they relinquished jurisdiction, but yet they still remained on the land and didn't start decolonizing. And as you already know, with international law, they were supposed to officially start the decolonization around 1960.
1960, right. Well,
Yeah,
which all they
and
did was put their puns in order, because really
yeah, this is
September
why.
24th, 1897, when they had the
Yeah,
African Association, which was to counter the scramble of Africa. Once they start organizing out of that, 1919, Joel Springham, they're gonna fund Booker T, and they're gonna
all that
they're
kind
gonna
of
fight.
crap. Yeah,
You're not Booker T, I'm
exactly.
sorry. They're gonna fight W. Du Bois, and they're gonna send him over to
Yeah,
Paris,
yep,
and then he's gonna
yep.
go over there and stop those guys that were in World War I who were coming back complaining about the discrimination. He blocked that, and Carnegie and a lot of J.P. Morgan, a lot of these guys funded him going there. He came back and
Well,
established the Pan African Congress with the money of these small hats. Let me ask you
yep.
this question, OG. What is the what is there a I'm sorry, let me get the question. Do Moors have a relationship with Islam? If so, what is the relationship
With who?
with Islam?
Islam is just part of the ancient Coptic creed, and is actually a break off. But that was mainly one of the major parts of religious culture that was part of the people. That's all.
Okay. I have
But the religion itself was only used from a point of view of claiming rights, etc.
okay, let
But
me
they have, like, as you already know, what, 3 or 4 different sects.
correct. And with
But
those
that has
sects,
nothing to do with bloodline pedigree.
okay. Now I'm gonna tell you the reason why I asked, because from to my knowledge and me looking into it, those sectors of Berber tribes, whether it be the Umayyads or these different
yeah,
correct. They're
Almoravids,
gonna break out of after the Prophet Muhammad's dead. Okay, after the Prophet Muhammad's dead, you're gonna have two sectors because they want to know who's gonna take power. Now,
that's mostly arguing on that. That's
he's gonna
debates they had on the other side. Yeah,
right. You're gonna have Abu Bakr, and then you're gonna have Ali, his cousin. His family felt as though they should take power. This is gonna start now. These tribes. I see a bloodline. And so, was the Prophet Muhammad attached to Moors? Because when we see the rise of the Moors take place,
no.
The reason why I ask is because when we see the rise of the Moors take place, it's the same exact time of the early spread of Islam. So 632 through 750 AD, you're gonna have the expansion of the Umayyad Caliphate. You're gonna have the expansion of the Rashidun Caliphate. You're gonna even the expansion that took place under Muhammad. You're gonna have these expansions. Now, these armies that fought alongside of him are going to be the people who are going to want the power after his death. And through the spread of Islam, we see caliphates and these Berbers and these people in history that would be known as Moors. And so I want to ask you what you thought about that information.
No, those are because actually when they refer to the Moors during those periods, there were actually multiple tribes that's collectively referred to as Moors. When you look at the war records, you'd have Bantu, Mandinka, etc. from the west, even up to into what you call Sinda or what you call Egypt. This is why, like when you're doing research into Sinda and the trade routes, etc., they refer to them as Mohammedans, but today they refer to them as Hindustani, Hindi, Hindus, etc. Also, collectively, when they would look at the projections and the migrations, they collectively refer to them as Moors, but they were actually multiple tribes. Always have been.
Correct. So that's so how do we find the bloodline or the pedigree? Wouldn't the Moorish pedigree come through the Berber lines?
They would just
even through the Prophet Muhammad line?
Well, we ain't talking about Prophet Muhammad. That's a
well, you brought up Muhammad, and you brought up that they were
they would refer to
yes,
that mainly because that was a name that was commonly used in Moorish history.
But because Muhammad, they were protectors of people that fought alongside with Muhammad, with the Prophet, correct? That's why
some of them were,
invasion. Yeah, Muhammad led invasions. That's Abu Bakr. He fought on his side against the will of his own people. So that's why I think more.
Yes, even right now, you know, even on this side with Geronimo and others, you know, that we've known that's been compromised. One of the things that has been part of our history has been the tribes fighting each other, which is part of how the hybrid Europeans was able to take over.
Now, OG, I have a question right here. All melanated or quote unquote dark skinned people in Europe.
See, they would let me interject.
That's for lack of a better word, right? People that's why like us in Europe.
See, one of the things that I've always tried to do to be honorable is for people to stop being condescending about themselves or speaking of ourselves in third person. Well, you know, the skinned people with the dark melanated.
Well, I call them black Europeans. I'll just be realist. I just ask the question straight
up. You know,
black Europeans, well, all black European nations.
Hatred. Those terms come from our people that hate themselves so much they don't want to acknowledge their pedigree. I understand that.
Well, I agree because I identify with my nation, so that's why I always start out with saying I'm a coincided.
Yeah, but in other words, like, and this is another reason why I'm appreciating you with a lot of our people, because your ID cards would indicate your nation, and you'll be transacting your business in your nation state, and you would not be obligated to the IRS and the other things. And I respect that you're teaching that to the people, which is one of the reasons why I came on here.
Yes,
you know, because that's what we do. You know, but other people will sit around and talk about what their beliefs are, which is irrelevant to the estate the lost estate or the issue of our people under occupation, or the efforts put forth for the restoration of our lost estate and the issue of decolonization, which is basically what all of our people should be talking about.
Correct. Let me ask you this question: Did Pan-Africanism make everyone?
Pan-Africanism is bullshit, and you know it, and I know
yes,
it.
Yes, sir, I do. But it's a question. Okay, so the European nations that had melanated people in them, would all melanated people out of Europe
because they took over? Because remember,
no, I'm asking, would all Europeans, France, Germany, would they all be considered Moors?
Let's put things in context.
Okay.
Our people here need to understand that the hybrid Europeans took over Iberia, and the Iberian jurisdictions are promoted as European history, absent of Iberia, except when they're doing their secret societies in masonry, etc. And they do their tours and stuff. Then they'll talk about Iberia, but they know that when you say Iberia, you're talking about Nefertiti's bloodline, i.e. the Moors. So you'll see all the secret societies, whether they're Eastern Stars, Daughters of the American Revolution, of which Hillary Clinton is a part, Mason, they'll all wear the Moorish fez as a crown of conquest, which is a token of conquest. That's why you see all secret societies, whether they're Asiatics or Europeans, wear the Moorish fez, and the people keep pretending our people are black, because they are considered what they refer to as Constantine's Christian property, etc. And of course, they will always use the black codes, etc. Now, let me show you here, even here with y'all can take a screenshot. Let me try to see if y'all can see that. And so these are the nom de guerre of their Christian property. Executive Order 11490, and this was made public contrary to intent, because basically this was top secret information. And this is just a synopsis, and I know that you have this, and most scholars have this anyway. Provided for by Executive Order 11490, October the 19th, 1969. This executive order was authorized October of 1969 to counteract the minority, and that's emphasized, as you see right there, blacks, comma, Indians, comma, Latinos, comma, Puerto Ricans, and poor whites in their rise from up under the depression and powers that be. And this executive order also deals with the Rex 84 plan concentration camps. Executive Order 11490 expanded top secret silent weapons for quiet wars introductory programming manual.
Yeah, I learned that from you.
Technical manual TM-SW 7905.1. All those persons listed there are the nom de guerre that they use against the indigenous people to divide them against each other and also to govern us. And as you were saying earlier, this is why they set them guys up in the civil rights whole program, which is under the 14th Amendment, to divert us from constitutional and treaty enforcement, which is what them same guys should have been arguing. And like you said earlier, we've been much further ahead if these people, instead of compromising, which is typical among our people, enforcing the law and their obligations, etc., relative to treaty enforcement, instead of diverting our issues of marching and praying without telling these people that their own land. And one of the things that
the chat have a question. Now this might be a tough one. Did the Moors, is it true that the Moors enslaved West Africans after leaving the Iberian Peninsula, going into Ghana and enslaving the West Africans?
Well, the different tribes were enslaving each other. That has been part of Asiatic African history. That's been part of our problem.
So is it safe to say that the sub-Saharan,
just like here, you had many of the Moorish tribes here enslaving each other?
So is it safe to say that the sub-Saharan African slave trade actually was
Or when they're talking about the African
ran
slave
by
trade, you got to talk about both sides because they was doing it here. This is one of the major reasons why the European
correct,
was able to take over.
we're going chronology order. So because this one happened first, for as the Moors going into Ghana, since that one happened first, did and hold on, let me get who went in there. It was actually Abu Bakari ibn Umar.
Abu Bakr.
Yeah,
Bakari.
correct. Yeah. He went in and forced the conquer of the Ghana Empire. So my question would be this here: did the Moors take part in the because you had the Dum Diversa, which was in 1452, and Portugal went to Sierra Leone.
That's the Pope of Rome. That was because remember those were the bullers against the Moors.
Okay, yeah. Well, they did. Well, Portugal, because Portugal fought against the Moors instead of they fought against the Moors in Morocco, Algiers. Alfonso actually defeated the Moors at that time.
But that's when they were able to come in full force to the west.
And so when they got to Sierra Leone, what shocked me was that the people in charge in Sierra Leone, that the Portugal got the Dum Diversa, when they got there, those people were actually Moors who had trade commerce with the Iberians in Iberia.
They were mixed just like they used the tribes here. Everybody around the world knows that under the Indian tag, they used them to break the codes to fight the wars against all in Europe.
Right, it was a domestic Indian trade here. Indian tribes here. Correct. Indian tribes here enslaved other Indian tribes here.
Now,
I want to say
this is what we need to do. We need to get our people to come back into their right estate and stop, playing victim and like as if we were stagnant.
Now tell them again. Tell them one more time about that victim. I hate that victimhood. Tell them one.
Yeah, because we keep playing. Our people keep playing victim here. When actually much of our fall has to do with our own disingenuousness.
And we have to be honest about that. Yeah,
our people are very disingenuous. Almost every war that these hybrids have fought, our people keep going, fighting the wars for them, coming back, marching and praying all over the place and don't even know they're walking on their own land.
Oh, gee, something that you taught me watching you through the years, one of the things was that the Moors created the U.S. government and constitution.
It was taken over.
Can you go into
this is one of the things that Obama was saying when he went to Cairo, when he made that speech. Many of you can look on your phones right now and look up Hillary, because remember the Bureau of Indian Affairs come under the Secretary of State. Because you're dealing with interior or diversity affairs. And you'll see her speaking from the Ben Franklin room, because you already know Benjamin Franklin set up the Bureau of Indian Affairs, another trap, etc.
Yeah, you had John Stewart the first. He was the first Indian agent. The Eastern Band Cherokee actually helped them, and they was of Irish and Scottish descent on their father's side, who were planters, and they had mixed race mothers who were indigenous, and that's how they were using to get through the land.
And also, what you already know with the Daughters of the American Revolution, with their building, their marble building in Washington, D.C. Right. Many of them hybrid Europeans were part of Moorish harems.
I'm gonna break in here. I'm gonna break in here for just a moment, gentlemen, because y'all are doing good. I just wanted to say it's over 600 people listening to this. So please, everybody hit the lights. This is epic. This is a great build. And I just got a question because I was a little bit confused on something. Taj, are you saying that there are different forms and sects of Moors? Because when Topcatz is asking you a question, I'm explaining to you. Let me get the question out. Are you, because I'm confused on which sect is doing what? And then let me ask you this question. I'm gonna get out of here. Do you consider the Moors the indigenous people, the aboriginals and Indians on these lands. The same.
Absolutely.
The same.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Topcatz asked you how, when we do genealogy, will we ever get a chance to go back to the word more? How's that possible?
More is I can only tell you over and over and over and over and over again. More is contemporary for Al-Moroccan, which is American.
Oh, okay.
That means the Asiatics, Africans of the Western Hemisphere, generally referred to as the Maghreb. We're talking about the migration of the ancient peoples of the land, also referred to as the ancient ones. Collectively, in all world war records, all world migration collectively are referred to as Moors, not in their tribal sense.
Right, but when Topcatz asked you the different things that happen with the Moors, when he asked you, you says different sects of Moors. How do we know which different?
I'm not talking sex.
Okay, sex, like the different sex.
Sex usually refer to people that have mental issues dealing with what they think
different, like different bands or different tribes of
right. Different bands and tribes. All right, so
well,
like,
how do we know which ones is doing what? Which ones came over here?
Right,
which ones was over there? Which ones was with the so-called prophet? Which ones is which? We don't know which ones is doing which. So that's why when he brought up the religion.
Now, what have I been saying to you for years, and I'll say again? For our people, they need to go into congressional records and also into international law and look at people migrations and the formations of nations out of tribes. That information is available to people who do some research. The questions will be, you'll recognize that how we have compromised ourselves.
Okay.
Some of those tribes, you had the Rashidun.
When you're talking sex, you're usually referring to religions. We're not talking religions. We're talking about migrations.
But that's why
right. So for example, you had the Rashidun, that's who Abu Kara was fighting with. You also had the Lamtunas. You also had the Almoravids. You had the Almohads. You had the last that got killed off was the Ottoman Empire. The last to fall was the Ottoman Empire. You had Muhammad of Granada, who
fighting for power. Bo Abdul, Granada.
Right.
Bo Abdul. As a matter of fact, when Bo Abdul seated, when Bo Abdul seated, that's when the as a matter of fact, when the holiday that they celebrate here in the West that they call April Fool.
Okay.
That's when under the treaties, they were letting some of the women and children so-called leave safely, and then they put them on the ships and burnt those ships. That's where you get the term April Fool that our people worship here and don't even know they burnt up more and women and children on them ships because they don't know the history and they don't know the connection to the political formations operating in both Iberia, Asia, and America. Because
I think the question, since we know about these other tribes, the Almor, the Almohad,
we keep looking at things too separate. That's one of our problems.
But I'm saying we want to be more direct.
We operate from a schismatic mind.
Yes, sir. For example, like you can tell us that you're from the Anahuac, and then you spoke of I think it was Mohawk. Like know
that we call generally we just say Cherokee, but you already know it's
okay, I have it on my mother's side. So see, we can identify with that. If a person was to say I'm a Moor, then since they do have different Moorish tribes, how can they tie themselves to any one of those tribes?
No different than if you look under the Manchurians, right? You look at Sichuan, you look at the different tribes, but they're all what you call Manchurian or Chinese. And it's hard, you know, it's sort of like our people.
No, furthermore,
generally don't know
Moors
sociology.
out there who are looking into their genealogy and they want to know that they connect to one of these Moorish or tribes or Berbers or Caliphates. What advice do you have them for a genealogy? Is it surnames that are coming?
This is what I present to everyone. Because basically at the root of our conversation, we're talking about the restoration of the estate, the lost estate, and the restructuring or recollection of our families, which have been broken up. And so when you go into the international records, the last legal name of the collective tribes of the people of the Maghreb on both sides is Moor. That's documented, has nothing to do with anything else. If you see people here that have been tagged under Nam de Gir, known documented Nam de Gir, Indian, Black, Negro, Puerto Rican, Borican, etc., West Indies are all Moors in international law. Those are subdivisional, both territories, and then your subdivisional Bantu and Mandinka tribes.
Okay. OG was saying that. Why don't we see the word Moor in the Constitution, and why don't we find Moor on the census records as a classification?
Oh, you start looking it up into the treaty law, you see it.
As far as the Constitution,
it's not a secret. For those who are listening to the chat, go on your phones when we finish and go to Barack H. Obama speaking on the political operations of the Western Hemisphere at Cairo. And he's giving you some keys right there. It's not a secret. It's that our people hate themselves so much, they try to be everything but who they are. That's all. It's no big deal. I understand it.
Right. Yes, sir.
Our people are fratricidally self-hating. This is why you can't reason with them.
Another question from the chat. What is Moorish culture in the sense of Moorish music and food culture?
Say it again. The last part.
What is Moorish culture and what is Moorish food culture and music culture, and how do we identify that?
Music
and food.
And food.
Yes, sir.
Mostly maize, or what you call corn, stuff like that, fish. And people loosely who don't know all the culture will loosely, because you already know J is not in the language, they'll say generally we have what you call Jesus diet. What you already know is Yashir.
Okay. Did the Moors build mounds or pyramids? If so, which
all along the Red River Passway of the Nile of the West, which we call they say Mississippi, was actually like a Z, Mississippi. We're the mound builders too, and go beyond that.
Is it a reason why we've never heard Moors? Now we heard them get credit for Moors,
particularly since the Knights of Columbus Ku Klux Klan Convention, Philadelphia, 1854, and to 1863, the suppression of all Moorish history in the universities, schools, churches, etc. You'll find that in the documented records of the house journals. It's no secret.
Okay.
That's called, they refer to that loosely, they refer to that as the Great Masonic Secret.
Okay, now are you right on time? Because I was just about to go into the Masonic. That's why
you see all the people that they put up, like Martin, whose real name is Michael, Jesse, and all the rest of them are Masons.
Right. So my question would be is because I remember a guy that used to be with you all the time, Abdullah Bey. Is Moorish science the origin of Freemasonry? If so, which landmass did it originate
that has nothing to do. No. It's totally not related.
But you know Abdullah Bey did a build on it, right? I don't know if you
Well,
guys
yeah.
are still friends.
He's a great etymologist, one of the best etymologists.
Okay, but you didn't agree with him on that point. Okay, now
No, I think a lot of times people hear what they want to hear, and they take what they want to hear, and they don't listen to things in context.
okay. Did the Moors leave white people as custodians to Moorish science?
No, white people, Moors are white people.
Well, to pale skins. Did Moors
No, well, that's
make
different. Then you talk
pale
about
skins
European hybrids.
custodians?
No different. Even in the nature of what you're discussing right now, one of the problems with our people, even probably a lot of people in the chat, because they're under the animal husbandry training, they think black and white are identities.
Well, I'm sorry.
This
I
is what
want to
makes
state
even-
this. OG, I apologize, but Abdullah also taught that as well, and so that's why I had those questions down. So he also Abdullah on the Eastern Star video he did on Sinetta channel, Wake Up Your about the Eastern Stars. He stated that Moors left the pale skins as the custodians to the Moorish science, and they betrayed them. They ended up betraying the Moors.
This is where what you'll see with the popes of Rome when they were dealing with the Templars, because around 1857, many of the Knights Templars came over here to the Maghreb, and they blended into the Masonic orders. When in fact, this is where you have a lot of those operations, and then of course you already know
Are
the
you speaking about in
fakery.
the Philadelphia area?
Yes, that's
Okay.
why so much history is at Philadelphia.
Yeah, because
That's why they have the mummers prayed at Philadelphia, and this is one of the reasons. Like they'll have when they Winona, when they murdered Winona in around 1902. That's about the same time when the Rockefellers set up the animal husbandry training under the Board of Education, 1902. And then they have her husband down there at the Parkway, right as soon as you go on Market Street, and you'll see him having Aquila on his shoulder, etc. And this is
you know what's interesting? I have
Tammany.
grandfathers. I have grandfathers who were Knights of Templars, and they're buried in nice Templar cemeteries. I also wanted to say too about those Templars coming over. The Templars are going to come from the monks. They're going to come from the Cistercians or the white monks, and you're going to have a guy by the name of Bernard Clairvoyant. Clairvoyant's younger cousin is going to be a guy by the name of Hughes de Paynes, who's going to become the first Grand Master. He's going to go to Scotland and get land from a wealthy family out there in Scotland. He's going to marry to their daughter, to that line, which would be the Sinclair family. The Sinclairs built the monument out there called the Rosalind Temple. If you're familiar, the Rosalind Temple is a chapel, and inside of it, you find Indian corn, you find the cactus, you find a lot of attributes that take you back to America. Well, they left and came to Nova Scotia. Now we know that Scotland is called, the mother of Scotland is Scotia, and the father of Scotland is Kenneth MacDubb or Kenneth the Niger, right? Who came in, and yes, sir. And so they came over to Scotland. So if you put up the Scotland flag, and you put up, the Knights of Templar flag, and you put up the Micmac Indians flag in Canada, they're identical. And so
that's because
the merger of the Freemasonry, they also had a program of Freemasonry.
This is for the people. They need to understand we ruled on both sides. We were overthrown. Our people, they keep teaching the history as if our people were.
You went out, OG, or is that just me? Mic check, mic check.
So much.
Mic check, mic check. Is it me? Can y'all hear me? Y'all can hear me.
We can.
I'm sorry. I can't hear you. Y'all can hear me though.
We can hear.
Okay,
We can hear.
okay, thank you. I apologize. Okay, my question would be is Morocco America? Now this is a famous one that's been going around for a long time.
Yes, it's called the Maghreb. That's also included in your Great Masonic Secret. That's why you see all secret societies, whether they're Asiatic or European, wear the Moorish fez. And anywhere on the planet where you graduate, they give you what is called a mortar board. And that cap you'll see is likely like a kufi, and you'll have 4 squares standing in a pyramidal stitch shape with the finial, which represents the umbilical cord, the ball of mud called Earth, the degrees of the moon dancing around the sun, and the Earth dancing around the sun, dealing with your bicameral degrees, which is what those tassels are. And they all wear that around the world, symbolizing the conquest of the Canaanite Moabites, who are divided against each other, who hate each other. And therefore, the hybrid European in 1854 took on the title white, which is the noble sovereign of the land, from us. And we sit around arguing our tribal schisms that we adopted from the hybrid Europeans hating each other. That's why we're the only people that sit around, grown-ups with diapers, thinking that human beings are crayons, light-skinned, orange-skinned, purple people, and don't matter what color you are, and melanated rather than recognizing their bloodline. And all these people are held as wards of the corporate state under wardship tenures. And this is what we're trying to work out, to get our people out of their feelings and out of their egos and come together and recognize our obligation to ourselves, our bloodline, and restore our lost estate, correcting our status, because it cannot be done under nom de guerre. So if the people don't understand how we got to where we are, we're not going to get out of this mess. And which is the major reason why most of our people keep arguing the split up, divided tribal games, rather than recognizing the last lawful name of which world treaties were made to bring these people back into order. Now, as you already know, in 1954, when Eisenhower shut down consular venues and they started that civil rights BS that most of our people have been raised under, that civil rights BS, not knowing anything about the Sister QV trust operations under Unum Sanctum, Dum Diversus Romanus Pontifex. And most of us are coming from that mentality. And even still calling that hybrid European white man, which means sovereign, they don't even know that we are the white people. And they're arguing about what color they are because they don't know jurisprudence. And I say this, all these scholars that keep on talking about or pretending to love our people need to teach our people the law and history together and get our people out of their feelings and start accepting and forgiving ourselves for our own treachery among ourselves and start fixing this mess with facts and reality. If they want to know what's going on in the real world, because we've been so treacherous to each other, the rest of the civilized world has taken upon themselves and set up what is called the Order of the Bricks to start undermining the operation of the voucher system to the Sister QV Trust, headed by the Circle Church and Chancery from Fleet Street, England, and the Board of Governors for the United States Corporation Company, this is their last corporation papers of 1925, which is a private corporation operating at the Maghreb here, while we keep playing these stupid games, pretending to understand what's going on. My issue with all of us is that we need to start studying congressional records. We need to start studying the operation of international law, the Libra Code, why it's in place, why they murdered Lincoln to overthrow the Republic, to put our people into servitude on their own land, why Eisenhower shut down consular courts in 54 and relinquished jurisdiction, and why they're not teaching our people to enforce treaty law, Article 3, Section 2, diversity, etc. And they stay away from that because what we end up doing is keep are having emotional conversations and no remedies. And I say that we need to get out of our feelings, teach our people, and particularly the women, teach them the truth of the matriarchy that was overthrown and why we're in the situation we're in. And as we get back to ourselves, to stop coming in it with our egos and start acting like we got some sense and setting something up realistic for our offspring. And it has to be done with knowledge, not with emotions. And if one is not in one's proper person in law, such persons are held as stateless and non-descendable, and that is part of our major economic problem, and our people need to know that. Also, that they're not allowed to handle money. They don't even know that the Federal Reserve notes are private voucher commercial paper. And they got our people busting their butt, not even knowing that they're taxed under Dum Diversas and Romanus Pontifex, and that is the operations of the U.S. corporation. This is what Obama was trying to set before the people when he made that speech in Cairo. And he even showed them the flag. And our people still kind of trying to play these black Negro melanated games. And we need to get our people into knowledge.
Can I ask a question, Taj? Well, I will have to admit that with all the knowledge that you do have of being
it's basic stuff that I'm saying.
Wait a minute, let me say this, of being a Moor, there has to be something to this. It just can't come out the blue, okay? And with all the knowledge that Chief Topcatz have of the descendants that was already on these lands, I'm wondering if there's a way that the Aboriginal, the indigenous, the Indian, and the Moor could come together and work together to make sure that for one, we get reparations for everything that has been taken from us. If that is possible. Wait a minute, Taj, just let me get this one question out. And for one, if if there's a way that we can work together without prejudice. Because somehow or another, there has to be something to all of this, so because you're saying that it's all the same, that
I'm
we
sharing with you,
saying it's the same. So
what you're asking, I've been sharing.
Right. What I'm saying, but there is, for some reason, the brothers are fighting. I'm not saying
people who don't know.
Not Topcatz. Topcatz not fighting.
We're not fighting.
Not Topcatz. I'm not saying. I'm saying
but
other
there are wars going
not
on right now about that. Yes, ma'am. It is.
Not you.
But
Not you.
Topcatz chose to stay out of it.
Right. And I know other brothers that chose.
Listen.
But wait a minute. If there's some advice you can give the brothers to tell them that you're saying that it's all the same, so we don't need to be fighting against
different angles of looking at the same thing with absence of certain information. That's all.
Right. That there's
the mission is the restoration of the land. Number one. The hybrid Europeans. So even like, and I'm saying this and mainly to this. That's why I presented some of this stuff so that you can understand the rules of making the claim. It's called, write this down, reversion of estate. I'm telling you, I've been answering what you asked. I've been answering it. You haven't recognized it.
I do. That's what I'm saying.
Listen,
I just want you to.
It's like this. If you're talking international issues of diversity, and the people don't recognize in that our conversation is of diversity. It already is. But if the people don't understand that in law, it makes them incompetent. This is why I'm bringing up certain things to make them aware of things they haven't been taught. It's like someone asking about engineering, and you're talking engineering, and they keep talking about sandwiches because they don't understand that you're talking engineering already. When I went into treaty enforcement, that's the foundation. That's where all the circles of the mothers and the shakuns, before Calhoun set up the affairs in the Department of War. That's what the foundation of your meeting should be on. It ain't nothing new. It's that we keep looking at other things. We keep allowing them to control the narrative, which is diverted from what you really should be talking about.
Well, OG, can I ask you this here? Is it okay since these non-denials were put on us, or these misclassification? Did the indigenous chiefdoms of America, did they consider themselves Moors, or is this a term that was put on them by
This is what we would do. The major platforms that we would communicate on would be Honor Honesty Confederation and the Powhatan Confederation. Those are the two major ones. We had subdivisionals, but again, over the period of years, we split up and just went back to our tribal arguments. That's what happened. But the foundation was either the Honor Honesty Confederation and the Powhatan, and the European take them, corrupted them, and made it the Democratic and Republican parties. They patterned it after the confederations here. That already was established among here.
Right, the Great Law.
Now the platform is that the Shakums, like say if you was a Shakum of the territory, right? And according to the territory, usually you would be part of the Powhatan Confederation. So would we. And then we would come with the circle of mothers, make determinations, and then the Shakums would come together and then they would meet with the Congress. But instead, they let the hybrid European make all the decisions, and all they do is accept whatever these Europeans say. That's why they kept changing affairs, etc. And then they, just like they did with some of our people under the black codes, make up civil rights and then make our people things without our people even participating, which you already know when they did the Assistance Act and the act with the so-called education and stuff like that. They did that.
But made our people. If I was to be honest, I see. I don't see a takeover. The takeover for the formation of the United States. What I see is a plan that was enacted during the French and Indian War. Now, right before the French and Indian War, or the 7-year war, the First World War, you're gonna have an a amalgamation of different nations come together.
That's why they always would marry into us, or mainly they would marry into us to make a claim on the land, because you already know it's a matriarchy.
Right, but the people that were in charge were actually indigenous people, and so what they did was they were, you had slave raiding nations. So like if you had the Cherokee is a branch of the Iroquois. So they're gonna go down.
And the Iroquois, because really people say Iroquois, it's Iroquois. That's really what you already know, Honor Honesty.
Yeah, Honor, correct.
Yeah,
so they're gonna.
Yeah, and the deal of it is, and this is what I'm saying, collectively, this Sister Freedom, our people need to understand the political structure of the venue that they overthrew. So to get us arguing symptoms and not bringing the law back into effect that already exists.
But I think a simpler way to do it is if people knew who they were in the story, instead of it just being like, not saying you doing it, but society and education and institutions have given us a one size fit all story. When in actuality, we all have individual experiences here, and so I feel as though that's why my foundation is genealogy, is for a person to know not his story but my story. So it's about not being a historian but being a my story, because if you know your story, then you can follow your family through here, and so I'll say this here with that, after the 7-year war, you had the proclamation line. Now this proclamation line that affected these people who were raiding tribes and taking land and area for different resources. The Beaver Wars, getting down to the Great Lakes. Then they came into Virginia in the 1620s as the Rickahogans, different nations. Now they defeated these tribes through the Middle Plantation. And that was the Powhatan nation that you were speaking of.
Yeah, those actually, after them plantations were actually Bonnevilles. They was ours. They took over.
Correct. After that, then we see the European chiefs come in, even the ones who signed the treaties of the Middle Plantation, and that were affected after the Bacon Rebellion and that were pushed out. Now, and then we see them go down into Georgia and become the Westos. But these were slave raided and Iroquois or Haudenosaunee speaking people. They didn't speak the Muskogean languages as the people in the Southeast. That's why out of the 5 civilized tribes, the Cherokee didn't come from the South. Cherokee come from up north. They're a branch of the Haudenosaunee. But they were slave raiders, and a lot of them were with Sephardic Jews, converse over these
Absolutely.
over.
Absolutely. This is where
Iberian
you see the tradition of the of these Moors, you know, battling. And one of the major things that you've seen that has been the problem with the Moors. Everybody want to be a chief, and they're fighting each other for power.
Right.
You know, and if you watch our people, you'll see it, whether it's in the music industry, rap industry, everything. That's still part of our ego problem, vanity.
Right. I wanted to land on this here as the formation of the United States. The indigenous, the British, in order to come, you had to get a charter. The charters was given out through the king. At that time, you had a melanated royal family ruling at that time, which was the Stuarts. After the Stuarts, they were overthrown by their French Protestant family members. William Orange came in.
Which you know, and this is for the sisters that are on chat. This is why you see Charlotte. They don't even know that's Charlotte. Like North Carolina, that's Charlotte.
Queen
She's
Charlotte.
a Moor.
Yeah,
it's no big deal.
And watch this here. Hold on, OG. We have to point this out.
Traitors.
OG, let's point this out. Queen Charlotte, which was a melanated queen, she didn't die until 1818.
Yeah.
So this is the 1800s that people that look like us were still in power in Europe, which goes totally against the narrative that we've been given.
This is what our people here need to know. We were not the weak people that they present us as.
Correct. We were
and
in
slave
power.
was actually the Europeans, hybrid Europeans, not us. That's where the word comes from. It comes from Slovakia.
OG, what's your thoughts on the black conquistadors? The black conquistadors that came in Spain.
Exactly.
But some of them had they were influential in the
But remember
the colonization of America.
This is what our people need to understand. This is what our people really need to understand. Before 54, loosely, they used a lot of those terms. But before 54, we weren't called black. And they weren't called white. Our people need to put things in context.
Well, you taught us that, Corleones, and we've been watching you for a long time, OG. We know you broke it down to us.
Let me share with the people this law.
Yeah, you broke down the Corleones, the taxonomy, all of that. Been doing it for a long time.
And this is part of our problems. And I'm speaking to you mainly because of your position, because whether you chose it or not, you were on assignment. You were born to do what you're doing now. And the real deal of it is, you already know, according to the culture, you're born into the position. It's not given to you. It is recognized when people start studying you and you start displaying those warrior energies. Then your Shakun position is assigned to you by the mothers. You already know that. That's the culture. But you also know that we got away from that. That's, again, part of our problem. Because we got into this men and women competing with each other under the black codes set up by the French, which our people practice to this very day, which is another reason why our families are broken up. And our people don't even know they're being engineered. But anyway, let me share this with you. This is the 4th edition. See, we need to stop casting spells on ourselves and then complaining about the spells that we ourselves keep casting for lack of knowledge. law, ancient and modern. Repeat. Jurisprudence, law, ancient and modern. Meaning this ain't nothing new, but you need to know what was done to you. Free white persons. Free white persons referred to in the Naturalization Act as amended July the 14th, 1870. So write that date down so that you can do some research for yourselves. So 1870, that's after the convention at Philadelphia with the Knights of Columbus, Ku Klux Klan. This is when they started taking on your title that belonged to you. Naturalization Act 1870 has meaning naturally given to it when first used in one statute 103C3, meaning all persons belonging to the European races, then commonly counted as white, and their descendants, including such descendants of other countries in which they have immigrated. They're the immigrants. Understand that. Get that very clear. Free white persons includes all European Jews, more or less intermixed with the peoples of Celtic, Scandinavian, Teutonic, Iberian, Latin, Greek, and Slavic descent. Free white persons includes Magyars, Lapps, and Finns, and the Basque and Albanians. It includes the mixed Latin, Celtic, Iberian, and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal, the mixed Greek, Latin, Phoenicians, and North Africans inhabitants of Sicily, and the mixed Slav and Tartar inhabitants of South Russia. Free white persons does not mean Caucasian race. Repeat. Free white persons does not mean Caucasian race, Aryan race, or Indo-European races, nor the mixed Indo-European, Dravidian, Semitic, or Mongolian peoples who inhabit Persia. A Syrian of Asiatic birth and descent will not be entitled to become a naturalized citizen of the United States as being a free white person. And here's your multiple law case you can research. So our people, when they call that hybrid European white man, they just call him sovereign of the land, not knowing that we're the white people. It's a status term. It's not an identity. Correct. It's a status term. And as long as our people keep agreeing to the nom de guerre that was created by them, you give jurisdiction to them, which is why they use the nom de guerre to make our people non-inheritable to their own land. You need to understand it's social engineering. We need to counter it with knowledge, not emotion. I yield the floor.
Ladies, y'all have some questions?
I have a question. Hey guys, hey ladies, hi Top, hi Taj.
How you doing?
Good evening, guys. I have a question. Before we get too far, so since we're on a panel, you gentlemen are on a panel with ladies or what have you, and I would love to hear, what do you think the role of women should be in this present day moving forward?
You need the sisters need to learn the culture and the matriarchy outside of the ego crap that they've been teaching us culturally to compete with your sons, which is us, and create all this division and get our women to stop thinking that they should be 304s and get back to nature and reorganize our families harmonically and recognize that we've all been engineered to break up our families under unum sanctum and dum diversus, and that the way we've been living is not according to our culture. It's according to social engineering called animal husbandry, which was set up in 1904 after they murdered Winona at Philadelphia. And when you get off, I would suggest you go on your phone, look at the philosophy page of the General Education Board, and you'll know part of why we all messed up right now, thinking that we've been educated. For starters, the sisters need to do that. Because other than that, what by mental, social, MK Ultra engineering, you're going to run all your men out of your families to some other women around the world. Then they're going to come after y'all and kill you all physically, which is what the plan is. And it's not a secret, it's documented. And we keep falling for it. For starters, you need to do that.
Okay.
And common sense will tell you the rest. You know how I like to say, once you understand a game that's played outside of emotion, when you start seeing the cards that's played against you that you ain't been paying attention to, it changes your mind real quick. I mean, a lot of things that seem just like conversation like we're having tonight, or like Topcatz is talking about the land, controlling your land and stuff like that. A lot of people keep looking at that as an opinion or something that he's about, when we all should be about that.
Correct.
With knowledge, not with emotion.
Correct.
Knowing that the way we look at ourselves is not really how the world been looking at us all the time, right in your face, and not talking to you, and having us fighting each other instead of coming together, because they know that once they get the men and the women fighting each other, that is called genocide. And we've been practicing that. So what you end up with is a bunch of, single mothers with no men in the house, and men thinking that our women aren't worthy to marry. And any of the brothers are being trained now that if they have anything qualities about themselves, if they want any kind of a life, they better go to Asia or somewhere else and away from y'all. And we're being trained that way, and we keep feeding into it, not knowing we're being engineered. It's not our culture. We're not living our culture. We're living Black culture, thinking it's identity. It's not. It's social engineering, deliberate, documented. Part of it is right here. Let me give you a little bit of what's operative with our communities. And our people keep thinking that's so-called Black culture. No, that's dead culture. This is while we're sitting around talking about marching and praying and feeling good and playing tribal games of division among ourselves and still come together, this is what they're doing to us. Diversion seminary, this is military operations. All politicians have this. All secret societies have this. All governors and mayors of all the corporate states, and mainly in the kite close order known as the Democratic Party, which though they're both compromised, etc., this is their major operations politically. Diversion Summary, Silent Weapons, Executive Order 11490, King Alfred Rex 84. Social engineering, diversion summary. Media, keep the adult public attention diverted away from the real social issues and captivated by matters of no real importance. Schools, subcategory. Keep the young public ignorant of real mathematics, ignorant of real economics, ignorant of real law, ignorant of real history. Entertainment. Keep the public entertainment below a 6th grade level. Work. Keep the public busy, 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 with no time to think back on the farm with the other animals. Consent. The primary victory. A silent weapon system operates upon data obtained from a docile public by legal, but not always lawful, force. Much information is made available to silent weapon systems programmers through the Internal Revenue Service, and see the studies in structure of the American economy for the IRS source list. And as an interjection, this is why they promoted social media upon us, so that we could give them all the data. They don't even have to investigate us. They get us to tell everything on social media. Then
your location and everything, right? Who your friends and family are, everything.
Exactly. Now, remember, what I'm reading is an executive order. This comes from the highest level of government. This is how they're operating.
And I probably saying you read. I probably seen you first talk about this about 10 years ago. So this ain't nothing new you've been speaking about.
Yeah. And the deal of it is, our people need to know, while we're having different discussions on a lot of different things, this is their business of politics. And pardon me. Furthermore, the number of such forms submitted to the IRS is a useful indicator for public consent, an important factor in strategic decision making. Other data sources are given in the short list of inputs, meaning they keep data and they're operating from a data programming system for decades, and got us discussing Jeezy's wife or Beyonce or Megan Thee Stallion or why Trey is in jail and all this old stuff. Everything that's destructive and creating an atmosphere where our women are looked at as the worthless women on the planet. We're made a mockery around the world, and this is really what's going on in the background. Consent coefficients, numerical feedback indicating victory of psychological basis. When the government is able to collect tax and seize private property without just compensation, which they've been doing to us, government is able to collect tax and seize private property without just compensation, it is an indication that the public is ripe for surrender and is consenting to enslavement and legal encroachment. A good and easily qualified indicator of harvest time is the number of public citizens who pay income tax despite the obvious lack of reciprocal or honest service. Now, I want to give you a summary that they have of how they look at us and how they've been governing us while we're sitting talking BS. Logistics. The successful application of a strategy requires a careful study of inputs, outputs, the strategy connecting the inputs and the outputs, and the available energy sources to fuel the strategy. This study is called logistics. A logistical problem is studied at the elementary level first, and then levels of greater complexity are studied as a synthesis of elementary factors. This means that a given system is analyzed, i.e., broken down into its subsystems, and these in turn are analyzed until by this process one arrives at the logistical, quote unquote, atom, the individual. This is where the process of synthesis properly begins, and at the time of the birth of the individual. Subcategory, engineering. The artificial womb. The artificial womb. From the time a person leaves its mother's womb, its every effort is directed towards building, maintaining, and withdrawing into artificial wombs the various sorts of substitute protective devices or shells. The objective of these artificial wombs is to provide a stable environment for both stable and unstable activity, to provide a shelter for the evolutionary processes of growth and maturity, i.e. survival, to provide security for freedom, and to provide defensive protection for offensive activity. This is equally true of both the general public and for the elite. However, there's a difference, and definitely a difference, in the way each of these classes go about the solution of problems. Subcategory, the political structure of a nation dependency. The primary reason why the individual citizens of a country create a political structure is a subconscious wish or desire to perpetuate their own dependency relationship of childhood. So they hire politicians to face reality for them. Summary: the people hire politicians so that the people can, 1, obtain security without managing it, 2, obtain action without thinking about it, 3, inflict theft, injury, and death upon others without having to contemplate either life or death, 4, avoid responsibility for their own intentions, 5, obtain the benefits of reality and science without exerting themselves in the discipline of facing or learning either of these things. They give the politicians the power to create and to manage a war machine. 2, 1, provide for the survival of the quote unquote nation / womb, heavily emphasized. 2, prevent encroachment of anything upon the nation / womb, heavily emphasized. 3, to destroy those citizens of their country who do not conform for the sake of stability of the nation / womb, heavily emphasized. Politicians hold many quasi-military jobs, the lowest being the police, which are soldiers, the attorneys and the CPAs next, who are spies and saboteurs who are licensed, and the judges who shout the orders and run the closed union military shop for whatever the market will bear. The generals are the industrialists. The presidential level of commander-in-chief is shared by the international bankers. The people know that they have created this farce and financed it with their own taxes, which equals consent. But they would rather knuckle under than be the hypocrite. Thus, the nation becomes divided into 2 very distinct parts: a docile subnation and a political subnation. The political subnation remains attached to the docile subnation, tolerates it, and leeches its substance until it grows strong enough to detach itself and devour its parent. That's the politics that are going on. That's just a short.
Y'all just sitting there
So back to
y'all ain't gonna do nothing.
Topcatz position.
What's going?
This is what we're trying to do: get our people into not just the right state of mind, but a knowledgeable understanding and understanding of the actual politics, part of which I just read, which is documented.
If you don't get in here,
so that you can understand they're not playing with us while we're sitting around playing with each other with our egos like a chip on our shoulder, and we need to humble ourselves, knock that chip off our shoulders, come together with intelligence, teach our people jurisprudence and history, bring them back to reality so we can get something done. If we don't, we're lost. That's the reality. I yield the floor.
Okay, appreciate that, OG. In the conversation, I have 2 questions. They're gonna be small. My first one, really not a question, but what advice would you give are you familiar with the Aboriginal community?
In general, we've been teaching the Aboriginal since that's what the Moorish movement has been about.
Okay.
Restoring the Aboriginal estate. That has been the general politics.
Okay, well, that needs to be said because there's a confusion.
We've always said that.
Okay, no, they need to hear from you because you're the elder.
All right, let me
give us the origins of the Aboriginal community.
Let me say this to you. This is one of my lesson books that's over 30 years old. Right down the bottom here, I'm going to read, and this is on all my lesson books. Moors, the descendants of the ancient Moabites, the true indigenous Aboriginal peoples who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern continents lands of ancient Amexem, Al-Marak, now called the Americas, north, central, south, and the adjoining islands. Through the reconstruction of historical writings known as the Dark Period, these peoples and their lands have been renamed and branded, quote unquote, to confuse the people concerning the true geographical location of their native lands, which are under European siege, referred to as colonization. Moors are bound to the continents of the Americas by heritage and birthright. We've always taught and promoted the Aboriginal indigenous status.
So is it safe to say
other
this
people
here
got it
then,
from.
Elder, is it safe to say that the Aboriginal community was birthed out of the Moorish community?
No, we're talking about the political argument
But
for the
now
restoration.
okay, for clarification, today there's a Moorish community and there's a Aboriginal community. Are they separate, or did they were they birthed out
This
of
is what
you guys?
has happened when you do
That's
the
what I
research.
asked. That's the same question.
This is what I have learned over the years, and it's not wrong, it's just mistaken. Most of the people that are talking Aboriginal status and indigenous status got that from the Moorish movement. It's not wrong. It don't belong to the Moorish movement. It belongs to all the people. It's a principle of political operation, not limited to the Moorish movement. The Moorish movement
But
was
the
only
Moorish
established.
movement should get credit for actually being the
No,
original.
it was just established to do that in 1910. And then officially in 1913.
Okay,
To
so but
restore
the
the estate.
Aboriginal movement a little more recent though. It's a little more
I
modern.
know it is.
Yes, sir. So I'm saying, do you know the origins to your knowledge, and you've been around so long?
It's
'Cause I
basically
haven't.
because we've been teaching this stuff for years, and people are taking pieces of it here and there.
And they're creating their own.
Yes, that's all.
Basically.
And it don't make them
Indian in there too. What about the
It don't
Indian?
make them wrong. It don't make them wrong because it's their birthright.
But what about the
That's where
Indian?
it come from.
No, hold on, Sis Freedom. Before we go to the because we want to, because
I'm
that's actually separate as well. But the Moors and the Aboriginals do have a close kinship. But some Aboriginals have a problem with it though, Elder. Maybe because they don't know the history. That's why I'm
This
asking
what
you.
happens. People
That's true.
are attaching to the status without studying law and history, and they think it's different.
But
It's
they
all
don't know the
same
origins
argument.
of it though, Elder. And I think some of them just coming in since it's recent, and they might not know the origins and of the Moors actually being the progenitors, and some of the talking points that the Aboriginal community was built off of actually.
That's where they got it from.
Yeah, so
They just don't
so
know
that's
they
why I
got
say,
it from
can
that.
you say it for the people, Elder? Because some of the Aboriginals are they're probably new to it, and they don't know the history of what they're actually into.
Exactly. And remember with COINTELPRO operations, the corporate operatives, just like I read in King Alfred, keep our people competing with each other rather than studying and take responsibility. And then you have that tradition where our people will pick up on a little bit of information and run with it and don't know how to use it. But this is common among people, whether they're conscious Moors or not. That's common with all our people. But the scholars among us need to bring our people down to earth and tell them the truth that law and history goes together. And in order for us to be held competent in law, that we must correct the status. And the laws that are in place internationally and nationally by treaty is the venue that's been ignored. And our people, when you bring it up, they keep thinking it's a Moorish thing. It's an international issue. And we can't get our people up. They keep thinking it's religion. It ain't got a damn thing to do with religion. It has to do with their birthright and the occupation of our land and the rules of law to restore it. And they keep talking about religion and Prophet Muhammad and a whole bunch of other stuff that has not a damn thing to do with what we're talking about.
And emotions and
exactly
and these things like you spoke of. My last question to you, OG, I want to appreciate you giving me some of your time. My question would be
I appreciate you giving me some of your time, and I appreciate the mothers, sisters that are on the chat. And
yes, yes, sir. This is my last. Hold on, one last question before I leave.
Go ahead.
Like I said, I've been watching you over a decade, so very familiar with you. After your work is done, you've been doing this for a long time. After it's all said and done, and you taught your last lesson. How would Taj Tarik Bey want to be remembered?
As an ordinary brother that's doing my part to fight back against hybrid European colonization of the Aboriginal peoples all around the world, but particularly home here at the Maghreb of our people here in the Western Hemisphere, known as the Indian tribes under their designation. Although we're not Indians, we've adopted that for benefit, but that's still not who we are. However, the reality is that the rest of the civilized world is coming together to undo it. And part of it is because we've been so compromised here, and it looks like the way we've been divided, if it just left to our people, we'll never get there because we hate ourselves so much, which is why we always use terms instead of identity, not knowing in law that persons that are outside of the honor of their pedigree or bloodline are not descendable at law. This is why we got to teach our people jurisprudence. And they keep thinking that you're trying to convert them to some damn religion, which is irrelevant to the issue.
Can I ask a question, Taj, please? Okay. Our grandparents and great-grandparents have been saying that we are Indian, and indeed myself as well. You know,
mind you.
Well, wait a minute. Is Pamunky and you know what I'm saying, Patam Pony.
Yeah.
And
this is what I would say. Don't go no further. Let's you establish a fact. So therefore, this is what I would say to you. What is a confederation?
You know, I was gonna go, Frito. You know already.
But wait a minute. Okay, I just want to get it out. So we've always been saying that we are Indian. You know, our great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, and we have to go through our genealogy, and this is what we've always said, always have said, you know, and most of the time we have not been using the word more, even though you're saying that it's all the same. More, indigenous, Aboriginal, all the same. Right. But I'm just saying, say we wanted to go for reparations, what status would we use to do this?
I'm going to say to you what I've been trying to say to you.
Mm-hmm.
The status must be established in law because the rule of law internationally, I repeat for all listeners, internationally, you must specifically identify the nation states and officially and intelligently by international law, by Libra Code, designate the injury. And above all parties must be identified. You can't start talking about people of melanated skin and stuff. You can't use those terms. It has to be a tribal or nationality in treaty.
Mm-hmm.
That's the foundation all over the world.
But they got us labeled as African. Are we, or are we? We are not. Wait, I'm just. Let me get the question out, please. Okay. They have us labeled again. They're labeling us again. That's why I'm trying to make it clear to everybody that's listening. They are all statuses and labels that's been put on us through the years. We really are naturally tribal names. All these other names, the statuses that has been put on us. But what you are is
those are called for the listeners. That's called non-beginner.
Just want to say it. We are actually our tribal names. But you know that these undone people keep putting these different statuses on us. And I was waiting for Topcatz to make clear to us whether we are African or not. But the question is, you answered that because I'm this done guy because you kind of messed me up here. Are we African on this land, on the people on these lands? Are we Africans through the Atlantic slave trade or this, that, and another? Are we African? Did we come?
We're Al-Moroccans, and North, Central, and South America was prior to European colonization part of the Moorish Empire, also referred to as Northwest Africa. Those are political designations. That's not your pedigree. You're American. We are 90%, 98% of the people here always have been here.
Okay, I just want to make
Taj,
sure.
Taj, I know you're familiar with HR 75 in Georgia, right? 1933, I think it was.
Yeah.
Okay, and there it said that the Moors have finally found their home after a long journey.
Yeah, that's
coming
their
from
designation.
Egypt.
Yeah.
And
now
so
look at the Sundry Three Moors prior to that. Also, do the research on the William Dungy case.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the
1854.
Sundry Moore, the Sundry Moore 1790.
Yeah.
Pickney them, which but those Moors weren't from America. They ended up coming to America, and so the Sundry Act was really about getting laws, and so Pickney them.
Yeah, the Sundry Act was actually a status correction.
Well, it was only a few people that was referring to.
I know what you're saying. No, was even the way they wrote it, they still are practicing what you call disconnection or what you call disassociation from the land.
But wasn't that from the 17
and the right of land?
But wasn't that because of the peace and friendship treaty that the U.S. and the Morocco acknowledging
They're talking about their obligations.
So they gave them the obligation, yes, sir, through the Sundry Act, through that relationship that those two had.
Yeah,
but wouldn't
because
that place Morocco over in another area and not in America?
But remember when they're talking the Moroccan Empire, you're not talking about Moroccan Kingdom of Morocco. They're two different jurisdictions.
Okay, so this Moroccan Empire.
Right, let's back up, because I want to make sure everybody's clear.
Okay.
When you hear George Washington, well, let me get real quick. You know the letter that George Washington wrote to the
correct.
Yeah, to the emperor. Hold on.
Yeah, the Sultan. I'm familiar.
Yeah, to the Sultan. Now, when you hear them, they're talking about this land as being part of the empire, but he's talking about the empire, not the Moroccan kingdom.
So who would be the emperor? Who would
at
be
that
the
time?
emperor of this
Remember, we were
empire?
overthrown.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Muhammad ibn Abdullah at that time.
Okay, but when we look into him, because I went through his genealogy and looked up his family and everything, and
most of them are hybrids. Most of them ain't original Moors.
Right, but they didn't have a international global empire though. Their family, they actually came from.
No, they didn't. Nope. You're exactly correct.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If it was a Moorish empire, then who would be the emperor? Who would be the emperor of it, and what would be the location?
Let me read that letter so that the people can hear it for themselves and analyze it for themselves. Hold on.
And ladies, why y'all so quiet tonight? What Dosey must not be here.
No, we letting y'all rock. Yeah, I have some questions, but we letting y'all get it in.
Yes, I have questions.
It's time for y'all to come in. Make sure y'all
just letting y'all get it in.
And
shout to talk as much as y'all possibly can, because we knew you had questions, concerning the different situations. And I wanted to ask you something. Are you okay with the fact that we actually are tribal people, that we actually first had tribal names?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I am. Because you have to honor thy mother and father, and you can only be who your mother and father are. And
right.
Yes, ma'am. I connect to my roots, and I accept my tree. So that's my birthright. Anything outside of that, you outside of your birthright.
Now, what he just said. What he just said must be established and practiced in law as a rule for him, but that includes people in general. That includes for all of you to have standing to have that inheritance claim.
I have a question.
Let me get this one out, Dots, real quick. Then you can have it. And are you also okay with I'm talking to legendary Topcatz? I'm just asking them asking this, are you also okay with the fact that if you ever by any chance got a DNA test done, even though I know you do genealogy, which I'm in agreement with, I'm not with the DNA thing either, like that. But if you ever did, you know that it's never going to come up Indian.
No, because they didn't test people in this area.
No, but the word, I'm just saying the word
classification.
Yes, ma'am. The reason for that is because they did not test people in this area for that marker. That's why.
Right, but they don't have a thing for the word Indian.
Let's be clear.
And plus, they told us the people, the populations that they tested, and our people wasn't tested for that.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear. This is for the listeners.
Okay.
Indian is a term they apply to us.
When you say they, who
as a classification of occupied people.
But when you say they, who is they, OG? When you say
the hybrid Europeans.
Well, the Europeans at first
remember,
contact
this is what you all will do. Do the research on how the Aboriginal people of the Western Hemisphere came to be called, I didn't say who we are, called Indians. I'm not saying that we didn't accept that, because we did, but that's not pedigree. They're dealing with, when they talk about us being Indians, they're talking about the Naga, basically of Madagascar, and Sinda, because they were trying to take over the trade routes. Their failure to do so, and coming to the Caribs, i.e. mainly to Haiti and Borican, which is later called Puerto Rico, etc. They called us Indians of the West because they weren't able to take over the route to Madagascar. Do the research. And that's how the term Indian became in use in the Western Hemisphere.
But
however,
we know that
Sinda, or what you call India today, is not even India. That's Sinda.
Somebody just put that in the chat, Sinda, the word Sinda.
Yeah, because that's what it is. And the people need to know how the word came among us. It's not a pedigree, it's a political classification for treaty law exercises.
So OG, we know that the first context that came, even with the people that went to I-80, those were melanated people that came out of Portugal and Spain. You had the Alhambra Decree, but you also had the Moors who were expelled as well. The Moors that were expelled from the area, some of them went. When you spoke about the black codes, you had the black codes in the 1600s.
That's from Codes Noirs from France.
Right, and they were first enlisted in I-80. Yeah, in I-80 first.
That comes from Dom de Versus and Romanus Pontifex, the bullers against the Moors.
Correct, but that's how we know that the
transfer of powers against the Asiatics.
Well, it wasn't Asiatics because it was a black code though, OG. So
no, you gotta remember at that time we weren't black. They write what they write in history now.
The wasn't that, but today it'll be popularized as the black code. It'll be the code New York.
Let me respectfully explain what I'm saying. This is for everybody, because everybody listening don't know jurisprudence. The black tag was put on us in the mid 1800s. Before then, we weren't referred to as black people. We keep putting it retroactive. That kills our status. We need to stop casting spells on ourselves.
I agree with that. The point I was making was, we know that the people that left, the Moors and the Jews, Sephardic Jews that left out of Iberia and went to I-80, we know that they were melanated people because they enacted these codes on them, the code Neil, or today labeled the black code that was installed in the 1600s.
We even know that the navigators of the Nino was Moor, Pedro Moor, after the wars. The same way our people today keep on running the businesses for this hybrid European.
But my question would be, why would the Moors help come and colonize the Americas?
This is what our people need to understand here. We need to stop talking about ourselves in third person as if we were innocent.
So is it safe to say that the Moors
That's like a
participated
Chinese.
in
That's like a Chinese saying,
Every
the
time.
light skinned yellow guys, you're Chinese. If you get a point, they saying like the yellow as if they're not Chinese. Our people keep saying they're melanated people to avoid saying that they're Moors.
No, we're not saying we're Moors because
No, I'm
like,
talking
I'm-
about the
Hush,
I understand. But
You gotta let him finish
I'm
his
core
statement.
society, and my nation never spoke of being Moors. Nowhere in our history have
most
we
of
ever
us
referred
refer
to
to
ourselves as
as our
Moors.
tribal identities.
Right. I accept that one.
And what I'm saying, this
So
is what I'm
Moor would
saying.
be so like you said, Indian was a political term put on people. What Moor would be a political is more
Absolutely.
term.
No,
It is.
Moor is a pedigree.
So Indian would your
It is a tag
chieftain
put on some of
would
the
be a
Moors of the
pedigree.
South.
Okay,
It's a
so
tag that was
with
put
it
on the
being a
Moors of the South.
pedigree, with it, I'm sorry, OG, but with it being a pedigree, a lot of people, do you think most of the people out here who are identifying as Moors or Moorish Americans,
They don't.
do you
They
think,
don't.
hold on one
Many
second,
people.
understand.
You gotta let
Do
him
you
finish.
think those people that are identifying as Moorish Americans today and have been, they are identifying it by their bloodline because they descend from a Moorish bloodline, or is it a doctrine that they're following?
More, but no,
Or
it's
more of a religious
yeah, both of them. Both of those concepts are existing with the people, which I've said.
so they
over and
have
over
no
again.
bloodline ties to Moor.
No, they do, but most of them look at it. Some of them look at it from a religion or doctrine point of view, when that's really not what it is.
Right, and in which they should be looking at it from a pedigree, which gives them their
Exactly.
birthright.
Exactly.
Okay.
Can I ask a
And-
question on that? Because I think it was asked before, but I'm still a little confused because pedigree is based on a bloodline, but your bloodline would have to be
A
proven,
bloodline
or
and a
you'd have
history.
to show your pedigree equals or comes to the Moors.
Right.
So
That
how
would
do you
be-
show it's coming to the Moors without a Moorish empire, without a relative, without an emperor? Like, how do we show our pedigrees are going to that Moorish bloodline?
You need to. Now, this is what I'm saying to you again. Once you study history and recognize what got us into this political situation we're in right now, you will find it. It's not whether an argument, whether you, me, or anyone accepts it or not. We're talking about the actual international record before our fall collectively among the tribes collectively. And you need to know that history. It's not a matter of opinion. It's a matter of reality of what happened to the people here in the Western Hemisphere that they don't know about history. Whether they agree with it is not the argument. The historical fact is what I'm presenting, not an argument of what they believe or what terms I believe. The record. That's the last lawful name of the collective tribes of the Maghreb, known around the world except for the people here that still think that human beings are crayons.
My question, though,
I gotta
my question, real quickly, I want just real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
My question though is, okay, so here we are in 2024, right? And I
Yes.
think so we just on a just realistically, how realistic do any of you, not
Hey,
just
man,
Taj,
goddamn, we ain't get nobody
right?
support
How
the show
realistic
tonight.
is it for tribes of
We
people
done had
to
a
come
classic.
together
Ain't nobody
collectively,
support
right,
the show.
to
Y'all
push
really,
forward
really
whatever the
just sit
agenda
there and
is?
ain't support the show.
Because if we
Nobody.
know
Circle
that
the
we
only
are
one supporting the show.
that we are tribal people, that there's a lot of diversity in that, right? We're not a monolith, right? How realistic is it to expect these tribes to come together collectively, right, and push forward one agenda? And that anyone can answer that.
Now, it's back to understanding what was our stand collectively before we fell under European colonial operations. What does the international record show? And understand that the people by law must rise as they fell. Meaning, like when you go into the history of these people of the West, we have been known as Mauritanians, Moray, Moor, Al-Moroccan, American. All of those are related. Mohawk, Mohican, Michigan, all of those are Moorish tribes. Those are different tribes. Collectively, in law, we're referred to as Al-Moroccans or Americans. In short, Moors. That's where
why they don't show up
origin
on the census
comes
though,
from.
OG? Why they don't?
But our people don't know the origin of it, so they think it came from the other side only.
But why it don't
Concept
show
is
up on the
wrong.
census records though, OG?
Yeah, we're removed from the census.
So in 1740, South Carolina passed the Negro Act, and you taught me this over a decade
Part
ago.
of the Negro Act was part of the cover-up, yes.
Yes, sir. So, but so why did, if they put it there, why we never seen it? And you also had the 1790 Sundry Act, and at that time you had the 1790 you had the census in 1790.
Well, let me
at the time they did have Moors.
Let me read to you. Here is citizenship. This is document, not opinion. Citizenship of the United States, expatriation, etc. Page 460, and we're coming from citizenship of the United States, expatriation, etc. Page 459, chapter 5, temporary provisions, the United States law. And as you can see right here, if y'all can take a screenshot, my fingers point here, you can't see it, but you'll see United States, and you see right there Morocco. Philip discharged the affairs. Mr. Root, Secretary of the State, August 1906, August the 3rd, American legation, Tangier, and you also know you're dealing with the what they call Louisiana Purchase area, that fake sale of Louisiana, which is bullshit. But anyway, sir, there are strictly speaking no Moroccan laws relating to citizenship of Moorish subjects in Morocco. The fundamental laws of this non-Christian country are based entirely upon the Islamic code, no part of which treats of the subject of citizenship. There, however, are numerous treaties and conventions between the various Christian countries and the Moorish Empire, by means which citizenship in this country is defined. But as I understand from the above acknowledged instructions, that it is not the desire of the department to call for a report upon such lines, I will therefore confine these remarks to general conditions existing which may possibly be of some use in connection with the information desired. Number one, citizenship in Morocco may be said to be governed by the laws pertaining to the same in other countries, with the exception that all persons residing in Morocco who cannot prove foreign citizenship or protection are considered ipso jure as Moorish subjects. Ipso jure is a law term that means as the law internationally stand, if they can't prove citizenship of another nation state by law, they're considered Moorish subjects. Number 2 and 3, Moorish subjects lost their nationality only by becoming naturalized or protected by another country having treaty relations with the Moorish Empire.
Yeah,
This
but see, that mean that they were foreigners, because we know the naturalization acts were for people, the foreigners that came over.
Exactly.
I give an example.
Yeah,
So then that'll make the Moors foreigners, because the 1740 Plantation Act is
you're
what
right,
brought
because
in
you're
the
talking
Jews that came.
You're absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I read Free White Persons. I was mentioning the Nationalization Act of 1870. That was
people
under
coming over.
Ulysses.
Correct. Yes, sir. I was following.
Yeah,
yes,
because it's a status. But anyway,
all right,
so
I gotta go.
happened.
I'm sorry, y'all. It's getting late. It's late for me. I gotta go. Appreciate you, OG. Appreciate you to all the beautiful
All right,
ladies
good
up
brother.
there. D to the O to
Now-
the T to the S. You already know. I ain't got yeah, that part.
I want to say that we appreciate you coming over, and this bill was awesome. I know that there's going to be people that doesn't agree, that still don't agree, and I just say that we all got to come together, no matter how it is.
Yes,
We
we
gotta
do.
figure it out. We gotta come together.
Let
We
me
gotta
say
figure
this
it
to
out.
you.
That we are
Let me
tribal.
say this to you. Let me say this to you.
Oh my goodness.
The people need to learn history.
That nigga was out
And
there
jurisprudence.
talking. I'm finna leave their ass over here with him.
And understand that I'm reading documents, their documents, not mine.
That's facts.
People keep saying this is documented.
Documentation of you.
Here's George Washington's letter.
Well,
Now,
one
see what
second before you read that, and
Damn,
speak
that was
to
how I'm about to go.
legendary Big Chief Topcatz, I do have a question about the jurisprudence.
I gotta go.
So where I definitely understand that this is the study of law, and we are seeing more in law. But where I have some confusion is that I'm not really familiar with another people that they have a pedigree in law, but they never referred to themselves as this status the way we have Moors, because we see Moors in law, but we don't see the people calling themselves Moors. So is that normal to have a law term that the people don't even refer themselves as?
No, listen. I'm informing you all because I recognize that most of the confusion comes because our people were not made aware that law, jurisprudence, and history go together. They were given little pieces of history without jurisprudence, which is why most of the conversation is not understood by the people. I understand why it's not. And I keep interjecting to stop the ignorance that we keep promoting out of emotion by giving you document. That's why I'm reading documents. So you can stop thinking it's something that applies to me or people who are Moorish conscious. It applies to all the people internationally. And we keep looking at it as a club or religion. I'm trying to break that spell. That's why I'm not talking loosely from opinion. I'm giving you documents. And if you don't understand that, when I'm talking plurally, this is what kills our status before the civilized world. This is why when people come from Asia or Africa, most of them reflect, it's not that they don't like us, but they won't deal with us on intelligent things because we start talking stupid black stuff thinking it's reality or what we feel or how we understand. And the world don't tolerate people who don't honor their mothers and fathers. They're not going to argue with you about it, but they're going to put their hand up. You know, like when you're having a conversation, they give you the hand. And then our people think that everybody around the world don't like black people. They don't like black culture. It's dead culture.
All I heard him say, you know, when you put your hand up, yeah, I put my hand up. I'm done. Got my keys and shit. I told him that I'm finna go run and grab some out the car. And I'm finna go grab some out the car. I'll be right back. And this Raquel, woman, listen. I want to dedicate this bill to you. I hope I ain't disrespecting nobody. Come get your wife. Oh, god damn it, man. Shit, girl. I couldn't even. I want to shut the whole show down. You come up here distracting me. Oh, yeah, god damn it, man. Come here distracting me. I didn't expect that. Oh, shit. What was I? What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, the Moors and the Indians. Oh, yeah. Oh, the Moors and the Indians. Oh, yeah, right. So what y'all thought about the bill, man? I Taj an elder and he OG, and I had respect for him. So I didn't want to, push the line and go crazy, But I did want to ask a few questions, but I don't know. I tried to, keep it light, and respectful. But I'm gonna be honest. I think I want to start a new rule. I only want to talk to y'all master teachers. For now on, I don't want to talk to y'all no more. I think I want to go out. Yeah, I don't want to talk to you little bitty niggas no more. I want your master teacher. I only want to talk to y'all master teacher now. You know, that's where I'm at with it now. Don't talk to me. Go get your master teacher. Oh, who next? Which one? Who else? Who next? Let's see. Now let me tell you this here. Now this Moors, it is Moors and Aboriginal beef. I hope a lot of questions got answered. You know, because since the Moors been a hot topic, I hope the questions got answered. It was some very telling information in there. Even the last one with that, I'm like, wait, that they naturalized. Moors get naturalized. That mean they not from here. He agreed. He agreed to a lot of things. And so how do we stop the Moors, you know, that are pushing this separate, you know, ideology? Like he said, they're either based on it by doctrine or religious. They're not, these Moors out here are not basing it off of a pedigree or their bloodline. I know y'all heard that. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? Now listen. He said that these Moors out here today are not using bloodline. Empress said, why you keep hating on us Aboriginals? We know it's you that don't understand. Empress, what do I have to hate on the Aboriginal about? Empress, why do I have to hate on the Aboriginal? What would I get out of hating on the Aboriginal, Empress? Empress Summer Rain, that's a real question, mama. What would I get out of hating on the Aboriginal? I'm American Indian, mama. Why would an Indian have to hate on the Aboriginal? I just don't get it. Out of this whole conversation that I just had with his brother Taj, what do this conversation have to do with an Aboriginal? What Aboriginal is it for me to hate on? I mean, it's no competition. I'm not out here in no competition with no Aboriginal. I'm just trying to figure out why you felt like being messy. Empress, Summer Rain, why you feel like being messy, hating on us Aboriginals, like what, hating on what? What is it to hate on? Man, please tell me what fantastic things that Aboriginals are doing for Topcatz to be hating on. Like that was just some dry, messy type of shit right there, mama. Like, how you gonna come fuck the night? She said, right, there's no competition. It's you, messy. Woman, enjoy the rest of your night, okay? And trust me, BCU don't need to hate on nobody, okay? Because ain't nobody doing what BCU doing. And this is not a competition, little mama. It's not a competition. I hope the Aboriginals do good in whatever they do. It's not why would I hate when we doing so good? Empress, have you ever met any of those Aboriginals that you listen to? You ain't never met none of them niggas in person. You ain't did nothing but sit in the nigga chat and hit the like button and gave your opinion in the chat. That's all you did. What is that to hate on? You got some internet shit going on. What is that to hate on, mama? I'm a real nigga, man. Empress, and I thought we was good. Like, where did that come from? And if Aboriginals are out there thinking that Topcatz is hating on them, or if Aboriginals out there thinking Topcatz is thinking about them, I am not thinking about you guys. I am not hating no Aboriginal. I don't have no problem with no Aboriginals. So where's all of this coming from? Well, it's only one person said it, so I won't say all of this. But little mama, I just had a whole conversation, wonderful conversation. What did an Aboriginal have to do with that conversation? Absolutely nothing, little mama. Smoke signal said, damn, Empress crashed out. Just jumped out there for nothing. Tree say sound like some pillow talking in the back. So let me find out this. So what is this some back room talks going on that somehow Topcatz is hating on Aboriginals? Is that what you exposing right now, little mama? So is people out here hanging out in back chats, creating conspiracies that Topcatz is somehow hating on the Aboriginals? Man, that is wild to me. That right there is wild to me. I'm hating on the Aboriginals. And listen, woman, my book just dropped. My last lecture did over 150 goddamn views. That's a lecture. What is that? What do I have to hate on anybody for? I'm about to go to the pyramids this weekend. Tomorrow. Hating? Nah, little mama. I'm enjoying life. I ain't got nothing to hate about. I'm enjoying life right now, Miss Empress. And I thought we was cool. Where did that come from? Man, y'all gotta get away from that negativity and that negative energy that I've been talking about. This was a good bill, good energy, everybody enjoying themselves, and then we got somebody sitting in the background upset. Why were you even here? If you felt like I'm hating on Aboriginals, why did you sit in here this whole show? All right. And then, I mean, it damn near looked like you jealous or something. Because we damn sure ain't jealous of the Aboriginals. We don't have nothing to be jealous about. Did you see the ladies, all the ladies got Valentine's Day gifts yesterday in here? We got a real community over here, man. We don't have to worry about nothing that's outside of what we're doing over here because we got so much shit going on over here. So come on, man. That's you wrong for that, Apples, man. I thought we was better than that. You wrong for that, man. You hurt my feelings. Richard said, I'm tired of hearing people speak on Moors and not Moors in council. You don't see that in real life at all. This is sad. Street gangs more united than us. Wake up. Well, Rich, you an American Indian community saying that. You got to take that to where the problem started. That's not a problem over here in our community. Our focus are not on no Moors. Y'all got to take that over there to the Aboriginal community because that Aboriginals, Betty them and all of them people that's in the chat and all of that, those are the people. That's a whole separate community that's having that issue. Tonight, Sister Freedom brought it up, and I had to make sure I say Topcatz not in it. They brought up that it's a fight going. Topcatz ain't in it. What am I hating on? And y'all fighting each other. Fuck am I hating? Nigga, y'all fighting each other. How do you get the time to look to the side to say I'm hating when you in a whole, battle right now with each other? Richard said, where's the problem coming from, bro? You got to take that to y'all community and go ask them. Because y'all community is the one that's over there. It's not the Indians. We over here chilling. We planning for our Mexico trip. You feel me? We planning for our Mexico trip, man. We ain't been on that, bro. Go check our last videos, bro. We talking about other shit. We got other things going on, bro. And the whole thing is, what would I have a problem with the Aboriginals about? That's the crazy part. Like, what am I missing? But I told y'all, man, there's some evil spirits in the air right now, man. There's some evil spirits in the air right now. And some evil spirits in the air. Now that's just plain old, just messy right there, man. You feel me? Like, come on, bro. We not in it. And the fact that we steady saying every day that we ain't in it. And it's clearly y'all seeing who fighting. Y'all panels with niggas going back and forth fighting and going. And, man, that's y'all. That happened over there. That don't happen over here. But you'll come over here and say, and niggas feeling like it's something again. No, niggas are looking at and saying them niggas, them BCU niggas is shining too hard. That's what it is. See, we doing too much. I told y'all. We shining too hard. Too many people talking about us. This show tonight was super fire. We just doing too much good shit. And so we hating. We so goddamn good that we hating on niggas. And it's ridiculous. We winning. We the only niggas taking trips. Don't tell me I'm hating on nobody, on your internet friend that you met in the chat, in the internet chat. Come on, man. Some we supposed to be cool. Well, I thought we was. Goddamn, some don't come here with all that shit, man. You fucked me up with that one. But again, man, ain't nothing to hate on. Cause ain't nobody shining like we shining. I hope people get, you know what I'm saying? Wish everybody the best, bro. But every day we came on, when the Pan-Africans the other day said they wanted to put a hit and get me to go against the Aboriginals, I didn't feed that, but I did bring the information out so the Aboriginals can know, because the Aboriginals said that they wasn't leaving them niggas alone and that I had crazy stipulations, right, to make them leave their homeboys alone. But the people that they said was their homeboys tried to come to me to get me to put a hit out on them niggas to go after them. So that's some type of friend, right? But you're thinking I'm your enemy, but the nigga that you think is your friend is really the enemy and he trying to get you hit. So if I really was your enemy, then I would have got down on you. But now I'm not on that. So please stop confusing me with the bullshit, homie. Nigga, if and long as I've been around here, when Topcatz got a problem, oh, he tripping. And everybody know he tripping. So, nigga, I don't have no secret problems or none of that. Because when I'm tripping, niggas know I'm tripping. Y'all know it's all the way up. And that ain't been me. Why, bro? Life is good right now, man. I'm in a great place. I don't have hate for what, man? We worrying about things. We having conversations on, you know, we getting registration, we getting our dates, we getting everything together. We making sure this go right. On the way finna catch a flight tomorrow. Like, you really think I'll be wasting my time on my day thinking about something outside of that? I got business, real business to take care of, real things to take care of, real boots on the ground, not no log on, oh, nigga hating on us. There's nothing to hate on. Not if you gonna compare, but it ain't no competition because everybody had their own lane, man. And I wish everybody the best. That's all I can say on that. But if y'all pillow talking or in the back or nigga, that is envy. That is jealousy because you are not even on my mind. You feel me? Man, I'm getting to the bag, give me a big old bag, into the money, taking care of business and personal life, nigga, and I'm finna catch a flight. You feel me? When I come back, I got the hardest lecture that I ever done on Native, and it's gonna be on Native Americans. Man, we put curriculums and books and all this together, bro. I'm so backed up. I still got books and shit to send out. You know what I'm saying, man? We got books, hardcover, all that, bro. We don't have time to think about nobody else. And it's crazy because, like, where did they come from? But anyway, we off of it. It just tripped me out, man. It's just bad energy. And that's what I be telling about y'all niggas, man. Y'all be going to them old toxic ass, man. Them environments are toxic, bro. Look at the people they're breeding. You can come in here with all this good energy and everybody having fun and enjoying themselves, and it's a good night. And then out of nowhere, here you come with some, you're that guy. But I still love you, hippies, right? And we're gonna do it like this here. Whoa. Cause them haters don't like that. Man, this was a good show. And I want to dedicate it to Miss Raquel. Rocky, what I call her. Enjoy the rest of y'all night. I know this Reek sister, he gonna be mad at me, but goddamn it, nigga, I'm brother-in-law. Nah, I love y'all. Appreciate y'all pulling me up, man. I'm gone.
Tell me what you see in me. Gotta be something different. You must be made for me. Patience is nothing. In and out, in and out, in and out. Arguing, trifling, difficult. Let no, I don't know why you love me. Yeah. You got it bad, you got it bad for me, babe. I don't forget that I can have this, babe.
Nobody else. Hey,
Nobody else.
hey.
Nobody else had a clue.
What I'ma do? What I can do? Hey, hold on, y'all, cause we did get some love. Oh, they started acting a fool in the cash out. That's how that motherfucker look. Ariana Nicole. Shout out to Warrior Solid Rock. Geechee. That boy from Florida. Philly Love. AJ. Shirt. Shout out to Redskin Joe. Shout out to Kareem from New Orleans. Shout out to Gip 85. Shout out to Al. Shout out to Mr. TD. Appreciate all the love in the cash out. Where she at? That Barbie dog go. What? God damn it, y'all done made me. Where she at? Oh, there she go. Come on with it. Rick, it's just a dance. Calm down. We ain't no nephews and nieces coming. It's just a one night dance. I'm just feeling good. We to talk to the Moors. It's just a dance.
Feeling my heart, feeling my soul, feeling my body,
Never fall out of love with
you.
He sound like that nigga off the wood now. Remember that nigga took his sister to the prom and nigga pulled out a pistol and all that type of shit. Yeah. Nigga talking about just a dance, watch your hands. Yeah, we just gonna keep our hands in front of us. Rocky, you got the rules. We gonna keep our, let's just hold hands and so he can see. We just gonna stay in front of each other. This nigga watching this shit.
Baby, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you. Fighting on my mind, fighting on my life for you. I'm trusting you, babe. I want this. I want this. I feel so bad that I feel it in my chest tonight. I want it. I want it. Yeah. Never fall out of love.
You. Hey. Let's go. Hey. Good night. That's my time. Legendary.
Creating your first video.